shit, dude. That's why I don't use the Blades of Chaos. You can't destroy the orbs with the Blades of Chaos. They're easier to hit him with, sure. But you can't destroy the orbs with the Blades of Chaos. The easiest thing to destroy the orbs is the spear. The spear is decent range, it's a mid-range weapon. That's why I keep using the spear on him. Because it allows me to destroy those orbs. So orbs are damn near one-shot on this difficulty. Come on with that! Can you just give me a good RNG? It's ridiculous. You see that bullshit? It was from behind me. It came from behind me. No more stuff. Ban David Patterson, please. Come on, dude. It's always some bullshit. They just...
Distance means so little when a gift says so much. Etsy has it.
At Galliana Kia, we're here to help you get back on the road today. Brand new Kias in stock and hundreds available. Extra inventory has been allocated for hurricane relief. New K5, Telluride, Sportage, Sorrento, buy for MSRP, or lease the 2023 K5 for $259 a month. Plus, make no payments on your new Kia until next year. Shop.
These right here are fucking annoying. Like here's the problems. Like I don't know how to get back to the Mistfields. Like there's a berserker in the Mistfields. How do you guys get back to that? Ban Internet Gladiator, Radio Raptor. You should stay on top of this, man. Can you ban Joanne's Kitchen, please? Remember, insults are only allowed in donation form. So any insult should be banned.
I know some people don't like this move, but I find it pretty useful. I'm trying to get a variety of stuff in, like blocking and dodging, but I just fucking died.
This is our invasion, a siege on his terrain. I want our most experienced wartime general in the field. I don't care about the honors, I don't care about the prophecies and champions. I just need us to win. I know it is.
And like I said before, this is the hardest difficulty, so that's why I keep fucking dying all the time.
What are you guys talking about pizza for? Ban Slav roster comic, please. Dang! Dude, he always... That is so fucking hard to dodge. It's just that same trash thing. Same trash thing. has a bunch of bullshit attacks on this difficulty. And I hate when like video games do this shit. Why do I gotta fight this guy 15 fucking times? Oh my lord.
Think that side hallway will get us to the junction?
We'll find out.
Dude, that attack is so fucking.
Okay.
I don't think I was supposed to do that.
Come on.
How did he teleport back up
Like,
here?
it's ridiculous.
That boy ain't right.
That move is so bullshit, man. It's got a shitty hitbox, and then it freezes you. Oh my lord.
You were wrong back then. I know what those boys said.
Oh my god.
She is gone, boy. Speak no more of it.
Where the fuck do I go? Over here? Yeah.
Ah, this is so annoying, man. I'm ready to this mission to be finished.
Kill this shit. Keep going. Oh god, I forgot this part. I think these are one of the more difficult enemies in the game. TBH.
You know my channel? You mean the channel I don't have?
At least you get to use rage.
My YouTube career is over. Dude, I barely won. My leg's fine. It's completely drained down right now. I'm still not eating like I should, but I haven't gained any weight.
Where do I go? Oh, over here?
Let's see,
Oh, I pushed this thing.
Kelly wants me to do a video called The Day in the Life of Willie's Redemption. Oh, come on. What happened with Blade? Dude, I don't. People act like my streams are like the worst thing that's almost like on the internet. I thought Blade's girlfriend broke up with him. What kind of cancer does Boogie got? I seen he put a video out about cancer. Yeah, he made a video that says he has a rare form of cancer. Talk about being kicked while you're down, dog. Man just lost most of his money, and then he gets a cancer diagnosis, which cancer's very expensive. I'm gonna try this guy one more time. Probably gonna get off. I've been going for 4 hours. Alright, boys. Looks like this stream's getting deleted.
Apex usa un propelente 100% natural. Los aerosoles baratos usan propelentes artificiales. Por eso, Febreze funciona diferente. Además, elimina los olores con una fórmula a base de agua y sin colorantes. Disfruta de la frescura.
It's a short one. It's called Why Trigger Warnings Are Actually Harmful. I saw this video on Stardust's stream. I popped in real quick and I saw he's watching that and I was like, oh, this might be interesting. This is Stardust right here. And so now I'm going to react to it and I'm going to place this video up. It's an independent video reaction.
If we cut enough away, the
something you should be doing as well, Stardust. I'm sorry, I don't mean to bully Stardust at all. It's just like, you know.
Right.
Post your reactions. Expand your career, guys. Advocate for yourselves. Spam content until people start recognizing you. Okay? That's my recommendation as a content creator. Anyway, why trigger warnings are actually harmful. Okay, I don't know how a trigger warning can be harmful. Fundamentally speaking, a trigger warning can be like a good thing. We do trigger warnings all the time. Like at the beginning of the show in the movie Jackass, there's like a trigger warning. But like, hey, this stuff's pretty crazy. Don't try it at home. I would consider that to extend a trigger warning, as long as it's warranted. You know, if you're going to talk about something that's like very intense, it might be good to be like, hey, like, trigger warning, we're going to talk about a very sensitive topic, so if you identify with that topic and that might be some kind of a traumatic experience for you, then, like, I get it. You know, it's more of just like a warning. Fundamentally, I don't know what part of it can be toxic or harmful. I can see the point where people say trigger warning, eating disorder, and someone's like, I forgot to eat a meal today. Like, you know, some people go a little crazy with it. But yeah, triggered by trigger warnings. True. Very true.
Hi guys, it's Misha and welcome back to my channel. So today
oh, this is called Misha Petruv.
About trigger warnings and to trauma survivors and actually pose a threat to academic freedom.
Why are they harmful to trauma survivors?
You should have an emotional support animal with me here. This is Vanya.
Okay.
So the purpose of these trigger warnings, according to these, quote, college professors, is to create a safe space for the students and to warn them about the material to avoid reminding them of any past trauma. And
yeah, like it's getting them ready to go be in for a wild ride.
I didn't start to see trigger warnings being used until later on in high school, and then in almost all of my classes in university, they were all over the place. And speaking from experience, these trigger warnings really do limit the discussion and what the professor is able to teach. Everyone is walking on eggshells and is too afraid to ask the questions that they want to ask because what if that's the wrong question? What if that offends somebody?
Listen, like that, I'm not in school, they are, so, you know, obviously, but the trigger warning itself isn't the problem then here. The problem here would be the feeling of walking on eggshells, if that is actually happening. That is independent from a trigger warning. If anything, the trigger warning is like, hey guys, I'm gonna fuck you up. We're gonna talk about some fucking raunchy shit. Be ready for it. The trigger warning existence fundamentally has nothing to do with censoring material. If anything, it's telling you we're not censoring material. Hey guys, we're gonna be going through some crazy banana stuff. So these two, if this is actually a problem in high school, which I don't know if it is, or college or wherever she's in, which it very well may be, it's independent from the trigger warning itself.
So it already creates a weird environment where no one really wants to say anything, and it really does make students appear very fragile. And this is especially funny to me, someone that grew up with, you know, fairy tales that never came with a trigger warning. I'm sure other Russian people or German people because fairy tales are also very dark.
His mother asked him to stop, but he wouldn't. Wait, this is from Family Guy.
So she cut out his sons. Now he has no sons. Good night.
Okay, that's a Family Guy bit there.
Relate because you know when your mom's reading you a fairy tale, she doesn't give you a trigger warning. You know, Baba Yaga's about to boil a kid.
They actually tell these types of stories to kids in Russia.
Fuck. Well, at least I know how to kill him.
That trigger warning would have taken away the element of surprise, kind of like a spoiler. So that's why it doesn't work. And it.
All right, now trigger warnings are spoiler warnings. Okay. Spoiler warning: the kid dies. Okay. I mean, I would say that Baba Yaga. Yeah, Family Guy's very well. I would say that that story. So let's say there's like a very intense story.
I think if a parent tells the kid the very intense story, that's their prerogative. But I don't think that, like, would you say that that story is appropriate for elementary school or whatever, kids school, 5-year-old school? Whereas the words are escaping me right now. You'd probably be like, yeah, I don't think you should tell a story about someone getting eaten alive to children. But if the parents want to tell us a story, that's okay, right? We would understand that, and so that's kind of where we get to the separation here.
For effortless shaving and one efficient stroke. Gillette, the best a man can get.
Additionally, 5-year-old kids hearing that story is not the same as like an 18-year-old who's older and probably has an exponentially higher chance of actually having a triggering topic or something that could trigger them, like some kind of a trauma. And then also the source material is going to be more mature. So like if the class is like, hey guys, this is a little bit of a trigger warning before we talk about this topic, we're going to talk about sexual assault. Okay. Yeah, I think that's reasonable. I think it's even reasonable to go like, listen, if you're somebody that might be offended by this, you can also like leave the room. There are some concessions like that are made in middle school. They do that for some religious people as well. In some instances, very like limited, right? And I think it's reasonable for like somebody who wanted to walk away from that material. Now, if they start using trigger warning, we're going to talk about police officers. Then we're probably shitting and coming. You know what I mean? At that point, I think that then we're just being so ridiculous. You know what I mean?
In the classroom now, you have to avoid topics that could be upsetting, and then professors avoid teaching it, obviously. But
yeah, that's independent of trigger warning, so that's a different conversation.
Avoid talking about violence, especially in history class, for example. You have to learn about disturbing things such as the Holocaust or the Armenian genocide. Like, these are all very important things we have to learn and have to discuss, even if they are obviously very upsetting. Can you imagine a president?
Sure, I agree with that. I remember somewhat recently they were talking. I had to talk to my mom months ago. We were talking about how there was a consideration in schools to ban like books about World War II and like the Holocaust, and they were like, yeah, it's just too much for a child to learn. It's too intense. I'm like, fuck that shit. Teach a 14-year-old that some dumb piece of shit rose to power because not for nothing, World War II happened because we, specifically as Americans, I'm not trying to be an asshole, absolutely decimated the German economy because of World War I to such a degree that it put people in a position where they were willing to elect a literal fucking sociopath. And of course, that sociopath is fucking literal Satan, embodied, and they killed like 6 million Jews, right? And I think like 4 million non-Jewish people, right? You need to learn that very harsh truth. However, if you said, hey, before we start the topic, I think that can you please tell my child that this is going to be very intense, like subject material, then I would say, sure, that's reasonable. But they should be like shying away from these topics is different from triggering or some kind of a warning that this topic is going to be very intense. I wish people would give me trigger warnings for flashlights. For flashlights, like people with epilepsy like me. Yeah, I respect that. Definitely need that trigger warning. Trigger warning. What if I had a flashlight here and I just started flickering it? You'd probably have a goddamn seizure, dude.
President asking for a trigger warning before looking at what's going on in a war. Like, you have to see it also because that elicits that emotional response, right? That you won't get necessarily if someone just told you about what's going on rather than...
For sure, and you need to experience that emotional response so that in the future you know that it's horrific and to avoid going down like roads like that would lead to another Holocaust.
Looking at it as a documentary or something like that. And I think it's one thing for a professor to write in their syllabus, this is what we're going to be discussing, or kind of tell kids that. And I think it's one thing for a professor to write in their syllabus, this is what we're going to be discussing, or kind of tell kids this movie or this documentary has a lot of war. But these trigger warnings are not just used in those cases.
That's what trigger warning is. So they agree that trigger warnings are reasonable.
Used when there's a bad word, or when there's a drop of blood in this movie that we're going to watch.
Well, yeah, I mean, like a trigger warning, we're going to fucking, like, listen, 50-year-old white English teacher about to read The Catcher in the Rye.
Watch our
backs. Don't call on me to read the N-word parts. Is it The Catcher in the Rye? There's like books with so many explicit N-words. Like, trigger warning, that's a reasonable, hey guys, we're reading this book and there's going to be some pro-gamer words in here. Watch out. That's reasonable. I'd say we should start saying, we should start saying N. Not really say the full word, but hey, listen, maybe I'm just too sensitive. But yeah, there's something reasonable. Hey, there's going to be blood in this. Okay. Hey, there's going to be pro-gamer words in this trigger warning. Okay, I think those are reasonable trigger warnings. Because if you're giving the warning, that means you're talking about it. It's Kill a Mockingbird. That's what I was thinking of, right? Of mice and men. Why do all these books have the N-word in them, supposedly? What the fuck? Oh, yeah, no, Papa Gut's diary. Yeah, trigger warning, guys. Pro gamer words.
3 seconds, or, you know, a slur or something like that. It's everywhere. Everything has a trigger warning.
Bible. Yeah, movie ratings are literal trigger warnings. True.
They're given trigger warnings.
It's everywhere. Everything has a trigger warning.
Shakespeare, they're given trigger warnings, but
Are they giving trigger warnings in the Bible and Shakespeare? Like, is that true? I mean, what is they giving trigger warnings on? Suicide? Like, okay, I guess that's fine. Like, whatever, I don't really care. I feel like it's not that big of a deal if they do that. Okay.
oh, you wrote the U.S. Constitution. What are you triggering that?
There were trigger warnings for the U.S. Constitution now. We've seen trigger warnings for American flag because it looks patriotic imagery and it may be hurtful to people that aren't of American descent.
Students are...
Personally, I've never seen that. That's preposterous. Of course, if you're trigger warning like the Bible or the Constitution or American or the American flag, that's what I was saying before. That's unrealistic. Is that actually happening?
We have a problem.
That I'd have to look into. If that's happening, that's absolutely preposterous.
These doors open.
Hello?
Jesus.
You're given the option to just leave class. You don't have to learn about it if it could offend you. I mean,
I feel like there's some things that like are reasonable that you may not have to submit to class. It depends on what it is. Like obviously you need to watch like the Holocaust shit. Especially since it's just a night. Sometimes they just put on Schindler's List for three Schindler's List for 3 classes, and boom, bada bing, bada boom. You don't even have to do any work.
The dwarfs again.
The National Archives put harmful language alert on the U.S. Constitution. Oh, it's mostly true. That's what Snow's saying. Yeah, I think that's kind of a sussy thing to do.
I don't know how much else going on right now.
They put banners on. I mean, I guess it's not that big of a deal, but that is also like showing way too much sensitivity, in my opinion. Let's see. But the newly installed warnings are taken out of context while it is true that the alert appeared as a banner on digital records and websites. The catalog, including the nation's founding documents, the warning was not connected to any specific document, but was instead provided as a blanket statement regarding potentially harmful language in any document. After the statement appeared in the digital archives, some clarification. What's the clarification? Were there any pro-gamer words? It may contain some content that may be harmful or difficult to review. NARA's records span the history of the United States and are charged to preserve students. Some of the materials presented here may reflect outdated, biased, offensive, or possibly violent views and opinions of visions. Well, maybe they're referring to like stuff about Native American. I don't really know. Such context items that may be reflect racism, sexism, or xenophobic opinions, or be discriminatory against views on sexuality, gender, or religion. Okay, I mean, I guess that makes sense, especially with this racist, sexist, or xenophobic opinions. Okay, I mean, it sounds like maybe it's reasonable to have a slight warning on there for some kind of an intense word, but okay.
That's ridiculous. It is so ridiculous. You are going into university, accept the fact that you may be uncomfortable sometimes. That's part of being an adult, right? And if you can't handle that, I mean, what, you're gonna have to sit in your room all day long, because life, like the real world, is not a safe space, right?
Sure.
This is a fantasy that we're creating in the classroom. The only...
Well, that's not entirely true. Like, there's a mix between, like, right, like, so the real world, to an extent, is kind of a safe space, right? We have police officers, right? So there's a level we understand that we should be safe to what degree. Now we're having a conversation on what that degree is. Yeah. So sure, I can see why in some cases people might want to do trigger warnings.
The other place you'll find this is probably TikTok or other social media apps where they put trigger warnings everywhere. I don't know if you've seen, it's like TW. You need to be able to talk about serious issues as a college student.
But I will say, like, those people, I don't know what they're talking about. Trigger warning depression. See, that's, I don't know what like, that's just trigger warning. It can be intention. They might be intention seeking, but they're still talking about this. Even if I don't like any of these
everywhere,
people, mostly for some reason women, trigger warning, everything. I don't know, maybe the topics that they're talking about are more intense than I think. I don't know why this person's face is cut off. I wonder if that's the explicit. Why did you remove their face?
Like TW.
Only because everybody else is in there. Why did you financial abuse trigger? Why did you cut
TikTok or other social media apps where they put trigger warnings everywhere. I don't know.
What was the motivation for this? Sorry, I know it's a minor detail. I just want to understand what I did know. Weird. Anyway, they're still talking about this topic here, even though they're trigger warning, right? So, like, if anything, they kind of, like, you know, it debunks your argument a little bit.
if you've seen, it's like TW, you need to be able to talk about serious issues as a college student, and that may mean getting offended or getting a little bit triggered. That's just part of it. That's life. If you have some severe trauma that you need to work through, go to therapy. There's no shame in that. You know, I know not everyone can, but if that is an option, go to therapy. A lot of universities have counseling, but it should not be the professor's responsibility if you have a panic attack every time you see the color red. It's these fools that are afraid to get sued, and then the rest of us have to, you know, walk on eggshells and be afraid of saying the wrong thing and this and that, and then treating everyone as a child. We are actual adults in college, and the funny part is this doesn't even help those who have experienced trauma. By starting off class by saying, hey, what we're about to watch, what we're about to read might emotionally traumatize you, who do you think that's helping? Like,
well, that's not what a trigger warning is. It's trigger warnings aren't usually saying, hey, this might traumatize you. Trigger warnings are usually for the people that it would trigger, right? So if we were going to have a really graphic conversation about I don't know, sexual assault, I guess, and you said trigger warning sexual assault, I'm not gonna have a trauma. I'm not gonna create a trauma by watching somebody talk about a horrific sexual assault experience. I might be upset and emotionally provoked, which is a good thing. Because that's you know, obviously it's a very sensitive topic. But I'm not going to get offended. It's not going to generate a trauma in me. You don't really understand what trigger warning is. Trigger warning is for somebody who was sexually assaulted, and they would be like, oh, this might be too much for me to engage with because I have a horrible trauma. I'd like to leave the room. I think that's perfectly reasonable. And very clearly that person doesn't need to have a conversation about how horrific a sexual assault is, right? So what you're saying you don't seem to understand what a trigger warning is.
What we're about to watch, what we're about to read, might emotionally traumatize you.
God damn it.
That's helping. Like, those people are already prepared to be triggered. And there was even a Harvard study, right, where they looked at trauma survivors and these trigger warnings. And what they found is that they are actually counter-therapeutic and that they hold them back from recovery, from getting better. And this is so obvious.
What? Hold on.
Actually counter-therapeutic, where they looked at those people are already prepared to be triggered. And there was even a Harvard study, right, where they looked at trauma survivors and these trigger warnings. And what they found is that they are actually counter-therapeutic and that they hold them. back from recovery, from getting better. And this is so obvious. If you know anything about trauma, if you tell everyone...
Okay. Harvard expert warns trigger warnings could be doing more harm than good. A Harvard professor is warning using the term trigger warning may itself trigger the negative reaction it is intended to prevent. New psychologists' research suggests that not only do trigger warnings not work, but they could also have the opposite effects in cases. Harvard Law School, this is incredibly vague, and a little bit more than babies. This is all babies. It says that new psychological research suggests that trigger warnings don't work, but they could also have the opposite effect. That's not nearly enough. I need more information about this. First, random controlled experiment designed to examine the effects of trigger warnings on individual resilience may indicate that Greg something and whatever, I can't remember, right about trigger warnings in fall of 2015. So Greg, First Amendment lawyer and president on the founding of Individual Rights in Education, for which I work, and social syndicates might be a little bit too in favor of that person. Wall Street published an article in The Atlantic entitled How College Campuses May Inadvertently Promote Mental Habits Identical to Cognitive Distortions. Our intentional mental filters or biases that increase our misery, fuel our anxiety, and make us feel better about ourselves. But it's not cognitive distortions are internal. Okay. Therapists teach their clients to recommend overcome. The PAR argued that some campus practices presumably intended to protect students from being harmed by words and ideas is the offensive or distressing seem to be interfering with students' ability to get along with each other and could be having a disastrous effect. What's helpful in this practice is training students to identify microaggressions. This has absolutely nothing to do with fucking trigger warnings. I can understand this. This makes sense. Them saying, like, if we focus too much on microaggressions, that you can start to, like, have basically bad faith interpretations of everybody's movements and actions. 100%. That part makes sense to me. Like, if you're like, this person says this about you, like, if you compliment like this, listen, and listen, I'm going to be a little provocative, and I'm sorry. Listen, black women, trigger warning. Hey, listen, black women, if somebody even compliments your hair, they might be having a microaggression where they're, they're supposed to be like, oh, that's weird. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if somebody's like, oh, the hair looks nice, and you happen to have hair that doesn't align with Western beauty standards, I feel like sometimes that's like, oh, that's microaggression because, like, my hair is different, and, like, I can't believe you're complimenting my hair, and, like, now it just seems like you're pointing it out, and you're trying to offend me, and, like, sometimes people are just trying to be nice. I can see that argument, but that has nothing to do with trigger warnings. And you can't just bring trigger warnings into conversations about microaggressions and focus too much on race. Race is important from a societal perspective, obviously, but on an individual level it's not. We should be trying to treat each other as if race doesn't matter individually while acknowledging, like, systemic aspects from a societal perspective. That's the way that you're supposed to go in for that. Okay. Turning classrooms and lecture halls into intellectual safe spaces for students.
If you're an engineering leader, you probably aren't thrilled when your finance team asks you.
Students are protected from words and ideas that they find upsetting. See, again, this isn't trigger warnings. And the issue of trigger warnings about potentially triggering content written in films. Okay, so these are three separate ideas here. It's too much conversation around about like being hyper vigilant of like microaggressions and hyper vigilant about different identities in a way that could be toxic and force people to over-identify with their identities and over-police every single interaction they have. I get that one. I can agree with that. Protecting students, like doing like intellectual safe spaces where you hold back on talking about certain content, I agree with that as well. That's a bad thing. You shouldn't be doing that. But trigger warnings, that's a totally separate topic, and you can't force all three into the category and then say trigger warnings are bad as well. The trigger warning is a solid compromise to not talk about harsh ideas. It's like, hey, we're going to talk about something intense. And to be honest with you, I'm pretty sure we heard stuff like that when we talked about like the Holocaust and stuff when I was in school. So, this study very clearly is a little, it shouldn't have boxed it. Just on the fundamentals, I can't see any, like, I don't see the triggering part. The trigger itself is not harmful. The trigger itself is not harmful to someone that is something in an environment that reminds them of past trauma. The thinking behind using trigger warnings is that for people who have experienced trauma, distress will be reduced by warning them about the possible ways in which they can be triggered. Sure, by content that can remind them of their traumatic experiences. The warning ostensibly allows them to mentally prepare for the challenge. Yet, for sure. Severe emotional reaction triggered by course material is a significant signal that students need to prioritize mental health and obtain evidence-based cognitive behavioral therapies. Yeah, sure, I agree that they need to see therapists, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be sensitive to people that might have a trauma. Severe emotional reactions are not an indication of depressive. Severe emotional reactions are not an indication of depressants, where others should warn students in advance that the material will be triggering for those with PTSD, nor that potentially triggering material should be removed. Well, no, it should be removed. I don't see any solid, reasonable, or argument about not using trigger warnings here. Okay, so that's just silly.
Around you. Hey, don't say this word or don't do this because this is a trigger for me. It gives that trigger and that trauma so much power.
Prepare yourself, you're slowing down because you freak out when someone else. We're supposed to the doctor just treat the kid like an adult and say, hey, there you go. It wasn't that bad. It's like that with trigger warnings. When you tell someone this is going to offend you, people look for any opportunity to act like they have PTSD or reading some personal.
Right, so like now we're engaging in like everybody who wants a trigger warning is just a crybaby. Some of them could be. First, oh my God. So anytime when you're a kid, you go to the doctor, a lot of times they will say like, "Hold still, we're gonna prick you a little bit, but it's not gonna be that bad. It'll be okay." That's the right way that you engage in this topic. Also, but just keep in mind, children are different than adults. there's a difference between a kid being a little afraid of needles versus like a woman who is violently raped not necessarily wanting to participate in a conversation about sexual assault, or at the very least being mentally prepared. This isn't dumb. This is dumb. This person is dumb. This is just like woke. I guess it's like anti-woke culture, but more than that, it's just like common sense. Like, they're going with these extreme examples of why you should never be able to be like, hey, bro, this might be a little much. The fundamentals of, like, having a little trigger warning is fine. You can have conversations about it going too far, but this is just
dude.
This stuff is so stupid. Like, what the fuck? I swear. People are literally triggered by a trigger warning. They're triggered by everything. Like, it's just like mental gymnastics to just not be a little bit more sensitive to people in society. It's a little silly. Yeah, could you imagine you just shoot the kid without giving them a warning? Yeah, you can't do that. You will give them a shot. If you don't give a kid a warning, they're going to get a shot. They're going to fucking thrash around, and then the needle might break inside their leg or inside their body. Like, if you're going to take blood, see, like, if you're just going to put it in the fat layer, it's a little bit easier. Pop it in, boom, you're done. If they have to potentially take a kid's blood, you have to be a little bit more. You have to be like, hey, listen, kid, you have to stay still, and then they're going to be upset, but they have to like prepare for that. You have to give somebody a warning for that. I wonder if this guy's ever been to a fucking doctor. But okay.
Trauma is an essential part of who you are, and it's your identity. How are you?
That's just that. No. What?
Your trauma is an essential part of who you are.
Your trauma is part of you, and it has helped craft you, for better or for worse, sure.
And it's your identity.
It's not your identity. I don't know. I would never tell a trauma survivor that, like, their traumatic experience is their identity. That just seems to me to communicate a fundamental misunderstanding of traumatic experience. Because now you're kind of dealing with people who are traumatized, that, like, their trauma defines them as a person, and that's the opposite of what we're trying to communicate to people that are trauma survivors. Real trauma, not like bullshit trauma, right? Trigger warning, my mommy washed my mouth out with soap. I know that's considered abuse now, but go on.
How are you expected to move on from that? It's about 3.5% of the U.S. population that has PTSD. But if we're just talking about trauma, a lot of us have trauma. Not PTSD, but just trauma, right?
Sure.
And so a lot of things can make us uncomfortable.
Sure, so it's good to give you a little warning before we engage in a topic that might make you a little uncomfortable or trauma. We're not even talking about uncomfortable. We're really talking about traumatic. But sure, it's still fine to have somebody for an uncomfortable conversation.
It's life. There's even something called exposure therapy, which is great, especially for people who have phobias, because then you can be exposed to certain sounds or smells.
Hey guys, I have a phobia of being raped. Like, what I don't understand the argument here. Like, I don't. Exposure therapy doesn't work for everybody. It's not. Exposure therapy for somebody who is sexually assaulted. I know. I'm sorry if I'm leaning so much onto that specific argument, but I'm sorry for trigger warning. But, like, the exposure therapy there would be, like, just being exposed to men if you were a woman who was assaulted, and women if you were a male who was assaulted, maybe. But, yeah, you just don't really know what you're talking. Like, this person just doesn't really know what they're talking about. It seems like they have, like, an idea that they don't like trigger warnings, and now they're just, like, throwing words at, exposure therapy. It's like, okay, yeah, that can work for some treatments. But, like, even exposure therapy is done with a trigger warning. Hey, I know a fish used to nibble at your toes as a baby because you were left in a pool of water. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a fish in your hands. Are you ready? Yeah, I'm ready for the fish. Right? You give a trigger warning to somebody going through exposure therapy. It's silly. Okay.
Smells or whatever, colors that can trigger you. It's a potential trigger. And
what?
To certain sounds or smells or whatever, colors that can trigger you. It's a potential trigger. And used to it. And to move on, more and more teachers are implementing these trigger warnings. Correct? And
I think that they're trying to be a little bit nicer. Sometimes being nice isn't a virtue sacrifice. Now, if you do a trigger warning, if you're like, trigger warning, guys, we're going to talk about police officers. Now you're being fucking preposterous. But if I do a trigger warning on, like, Nazi genocide, I think it's reasonable to say, hey, kids, listen, this is a very sensitive subject material. We're going to be talking about this mass genocide that led to the death of 10 million people plus. Kids should hear that. They should hear that, right? That's a trigger warning, right? But it's like, you need to learn this, but be prepared because this is going to be unsettling. It's just a preparation. It's totally normal. In not all traumas need exposure therapy. Exactly. Exposure therapy, hot take, is conducted by mental health professionals. Teachers are not mental health professionals. That's why. It's not the teacher's responsibility to work through your trauma, but I think it should be their responsibility to prepare you for a very sensitive topic. And if it truly is an incredibly triggering moment, maybe allow you to walk away from some of the course material. Obviously, not like the Holocaust, but again, other very sensitive personal topics. I can understand that, right?
And it's just so unfortunate we're allowing students to have this utopian view of the world where nothing upsetting ever happens, which just isn't reality, not preparing students for...
Well, again, if you're going to trigger warning somebody, you're not giving them the idea that that stuff's going to happen. Like, nothing good, bad's going to happen. You're just preparing them for a bad thing.
Real life. And that's all for today's video, guys. Please comment down below your thoughts on trigger warnings, and remember to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss any of my videos, and we'll see you all in the next video. Bye.
Okay, I mean, I disagree. I think trigger warnings are fine. I think that unless they're overly sensitive trigger warnings, those are silly. That's it. I think that's pretty much it. Okay, I was triggered by that trigger warning video. I want Papa God to pee on my face, but just as a friend. There's nothing weird about that. I want him to pee on my face. Weird face.
Soft. Excuse me. Roll it back, everybody.
Oh my god, why is there three still?
Soft, you'll want more, but it's so absorbent, you can use less. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
Let's explore your future with Udemy. You can learn how to program and build websites.
I killed 3 like twice already.
Create logos. Improve your presentation skills and sell your ideas. With Udemy, you can learn practical skills from thousands of online courses taught by real-world experts. Explore your future. Udemy.
Fuck this part, dude.
I think right now I'm probably around between 205, 210. So yeah, I'm about, 20 pounds overweight, 25 pounds overweight. I definitely could burn it by doing lots of exercise if I got to.
I think there was a bug.
Weightlifting. How are you going to lift weights with your back, DSP? This is just some delusion. This is literally delusion.
I'm running 2 to 3 times a week.
Because I don't remember having to fight 9.
The back. You know what I mean? When it comes to, I don't get...
He's running 2 to 3 times a week. Can you believe this? This is some, like, next level, next gen nonsense in 4K.
Isn't anymore doing stuff, which is crazy.
He's running. He can barely walk. He can barely get out of his chair and not get winded. You're trying to tell me this dude is running? Because the other day he was talking about going to his mailbox during the break and getting a little bit of exercise. That was his quote. A little bit of exercise. And actually, he considers this exercise.
I'm just getting exhausted with basic stuff. I can do more. But outside of that, there's a lot more that can be done. But I'm doing as well as I can with what I can do with my time.
God, I hate this part.
It's not the desire to do better. It's not. Like, I actually like working out. A lot of people say, I hate working out. It's tiring. It makes me sore. I enjoy the feel of working out and getting that burn.
Bro, you don't work out.
I used to do it. I used to lift weights and do all that stuff. I like it.
When?
The problem is time.
Time is his fucking problem. Dude, they're like...
It's like he is losing weight from cancer.
I don't know about that. I don't know. You should ask Boogie about that. He recently got revealed that he actually got cancer. And apparently he's being diagnosed for autism as well. So I don't know what's happening with that guy. DSP. There's like 20-minute workouts you can do with an app on your phone. For like actual like senior citizens. You definitely have time. Please. Let's not get too crazy here. let's still live in reality somewhat, even though we are in his reality, because his reality is just something else, is different from ours. But let's not get too far from that reality too, into a whole new third reality that has nothing to do with any reality whatsoever, where he doesn't even have time to work out.
I don't have time to do it. I'm here working 6 days a week full time, and the one day off a week I have, I'm rushing around trying to do errands with my family. You know, if I had a whole day off a week, I'd be doing...
FYI takes 0 time to eat, less and get thin.
It does?
What is this noise? A continuous cross mark, cross mark, cross mark.
It's just a cross mark all over the place. Everything he said in this fucking pre-stream is just like actual a 40-year-old man coping about his life and everything bad that has ever happened to him. And now life is great. And he would like to work out, but he doesn't have enough time. And yesterday he had some appointment, as he said. So maybe it's the doctor telling him, hey Phil, you need to work out. Well, I don't have time to work out. I have a very busy schedule playing video games.
You know, can I work in excessive workouts? I love it.
No, then you wouldn't love it. Then you really don't want to do it. If you can't find time to do it in your fucking bullshit schedule, then you wouldn't want to do it. Then it's just you not wanting to do it. So you can take another L. Let's take that L again.
DSP is running scams 2 to 3 times a week at best.
Yeah, that's a good point. He is running scams. He's running.
I just got here. What are we lying about today?
Oh, dude, at this point you gotta rewind the stream. We're lying about everything. We're lying about literally everything. He talked about Moist Critical, who is apparently now a troll. He's on the same level as Rich. He lied about everything. You just need to rewind the stream. Just watch it at like 2 times speed just to get over it. Because it's too much. We're lying about everything. Big ups Swedish drummer and Lubos Mally. I would really like to work out. I don't have time for it. No, you have time for it. You have just as much time in the day as literally Dwayne The Rock Johnson and John Cena. You have just as much time as they do. And they don't have all these bullshit excuses. That's why they're buff as fuck.
Thank you. Thanks so much. I'll see you later.
Yeah, the stream's gonna be published later. You can watch it later if you want. But because this is the Q&A segment, this is basically done. We have like, what, 5-10 minutes more of nonsense. That's basically it.
No, Rotom Electric, no, I have no plans on putting movies or politics into the podcast for now. Right now, I just don't have time to watch movies and politics I don't want to bother with. Politics, sadly, is so divisive, right? People get so angry with each other when we talk about politics.
Yeah, because, I mean, because you gotta take a side and you actually have to know kind of something.
There might be
so yes, just don't talk about politics if you don't wanna.
But as of now, I don't have plans for that. Why do people compare me to big dudes like Wings and Boogie? Because they're idiots. Like, you can compare us and say...
No, because they're lolcows. Because they're also jokes on the internet who can't realize why they're the joke of the internet. That's exactly why. You should be compared to them because you're one of them. And you're much worse than them.
These are guys who've been, you know, over the years made mistakes on the internet, they've been harassed for it, and leaned into oblivion. That's what we have in common. I have absolutely nothing physically in common with those men. Zero. Not even close. It's hilarious.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a pretty crazy comparison. You're comparing yourself to 2 morbidly obese people who kind of, their whole thing is that they're fat as shit. Like, come on. Of course you don't have as much in common as them when it comes to obesity. Of course.
Whenever they draw me in a meme...
Oh, there we go.
Some fat, globulous person. It's like, you have never watched my content. You're just a fucking...
What? Darksy the Phil and Kid Flim, they've never watched the content. Never seen the content before. They can't see that he has actual man boobs. They can't see it.
You have no clue.
Even super blind man can see his boobs swinging.
You're even drawing or trying to say.
In those shirts that are way too small for him.
Okay. Derek gets snow already? Wow, that's crazy.
Oh yeah, that's crazy. Derek is in Canada, by the way.
Okay.
Okay.
Alright guys, I don't want to go late on the podcast today.
Don't want to go late on the podcast.
Thank you all for chilling with me. We're going to jump back to God of War. See how far we can get today.
Oh, and this podcast is sad as shit, man. He was moping so hard and he only got $3. And 2 of them is from the same guy. Tip $2. Damn.
In the midst of
good thing he's not begging, because now he would be begging.
Very major.
I hope he doesn't go back on his promise, you guys. DSP has never gone back on his promise. When he says something, he sticks to it.
Hey.
Like glue.
You know, it was a cliffhanger for me. That we stopped. Like,
Okay, thumbs up. We get the Thanksgiving segment, and now we get into an unrecorded thing. Where again, his camera, just like every other day, his camera is not grouped with his frame, so he needs to adjust it. Instead of doing it once and never having to do it ever again, he needs to do it. It's just how it needs to be. Clickety click.
Remember, if you tip $8 or more today, you can ask the Magic 8-Ball a question.
Hey, we get a reminder to ask the Magic 8-Ball a question.
Let's ask the Magic 8-Ball. Will we get a lot of answers to the burning questions about the story of Ragnarok today? Will we get a lot of good stories about the there that we've barely ever gotten?
What does it say?
Most likely.
Most likely.
Okay.
Okay, now he's gonna be gone. Or maybe he's gonna come back. Oh yeah, he needed to turn on his Xbox.
Seeing,
or the PS5.
Tracker.
Yeah, it's the PS5.
How much further you had to go to hit a trophy level. Yeah. I don't understand. Game of Season 2 was new skins. And a
ramble.
A silly bubble blow for you on stream.
Oh, we're begging for likes.
You know, all kinds of contributions are greatly appreciated. We have tiered rewards for tips at $50, $100, and $150 respectively.
This is not begging. This is him just telling you what the tier goals are.
Out of your choice, the best of your choice.
Obviously not begging. He never begs. Now,
right? Cover the ground.
Cover the ground.
Dak, I have no idea when I'm playing Infamous 2. Alright, how about this, everyone? Don't ask me when I'm playing a game. I have no answers for you. Right now,
Infamous 2.
I'm a busy gaming season. Alright? I'm juggling right now 4 video games. Different kind of games.
Oh, he's not even gonna go on break because he drops too many views. Or is he gonna go on break? He's not gonna go on break. So let's just flash forward to the present. Where, oh, there we go. We got a $25 tip, so he doesn't need to beg. And then 1 Minute Man is gonna send that 20. He's gonna be at 48. And then he's gonna be like, oh, if we get like $2 more, we get to put on the glasses. And he's gonna put on the glasses. So yeah, dude, super positive pre-stream, super positive. He was mad about sausages, he was mad about bread, he was shilling and plugging for the first like third of the stream. Then he rambled about Moist Critical, and he said that he watches the Detractor stuff. And he also said he didn't. Let's go back on that segment because I'm very interested in how that went.
Membership for a whopping 19 months. It plays automatically, and you can minimize.
Oh, and this is him shilling the podcast, so I think that was before that.
I believe there's one major news story that I like to talk about. Heard about it, and they of their own volition. That's funny.
This was maybe before that.
This is impossible.
Like 4 a.m. every day, and I hate to say it, in like half English, like they're barely being able to type out in English.
Oh yeah, this was Burger King. He was still pissed off about Burger King, and he was pissy that they didn't respond to him in proper English.
Great, kind of a couple weeks now. Look, every game's looking great on it,
and the TV is great.
My thumb pad.
His thumb pad. So look how much of this podcast is actual garbage. A lot.
That's the place. They don't do a thick cup with some cheddar on your seat. Releases and everything.
Can't even grind his mic.
Instead of Thousand Island.
Talking about food again.
The guy said, I just eBay. It was a hypothetical. It's not even real.
Oh, and this was the hypothetical bag.
Or whatever it may be. And they make a certain amount of money or whatever. Who knows what it is? Difference between here's someone who does content and broadcast because he's a fun person, having a good time.
Oh, this is a cult?
The vast majority of questions answered, not asking hyper questions.
And this is a plug.
Also, it is the season of giving.
And this is an actual beg for members.
Alright?
The season of giving.
Season, as they say.
Tis the season.
The giving mood. And you want to help out your fellow stream viewer. The ability to gift memberships is now available here on ESP Gaming. It has been for many months. So now would be the time if you wanted to jump in and maybe. And then they basically retired him for a while.
Can't even find the begging segment.
Because he's a great singer. B-Boy Cyclone re-ups his membership for but TSP is one of the worst content.
Hey, there we go. So let's hear this kind of uncut. I'm not gonna talk over it.
What kind of content they put out? The size of a PewDiePie.
Oh, there we go.
I watched them. I think that they're entertaining. He was doing a show.
There we go. Here it is.
Cyclone re-ups his membership for a whopping 19 months. Thank you for the ongoing support. A bit late, did you react to Penguin Zoe's response? Yeah, Penguin Zoe. You mean Voice Critical. I have not fully seen any response. What I heard last night was that I guess he was doing a show, or I guess he does live streams. I don't know. I don't watch all of his content. I just every once in a while I see a random video on my feed. I watch them. I think that they're entertaining. So I guess he was on one of his shows or streams, and I guess there was a guest talking to him. I don't know who it was. I've only seen, like, no exaggeration, it was a YouTube show. So 60 seconds. And basically, the person who was on the show asked him, did you hear what Darkside Phil said in response to what you said about him?
He knows very well who the person on the show is because he blocked him.
Well, it's not that deep, you know. I was talking about Boogie. Someone asked me about him. I made a reference to him, explaining how basically he's an e-beggar on his content, and that's it, you know. He's like, no, I'm not going to interview him, or I'm not interested in anything like that. And that's where the short ended. So I have absolutely no idea at all if anything else was said, nor do I really care. And basically, that was the answer that I was explaining. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I figured was going to be. I figured the answer was going to be he doesn't care. He watches, let's be honest here, any YouTuber of the size of PewDiePie, Voice Critical, you know, those guys, their content is reacting to a bunch of random shit on the internet 90% of the time. That's the kind of content they put out, right? Right. And do they have time to come here and watch me?
If this continues, this cope is super salty.
Dude, this whole pre-stream, and in his recent, like, the last 2 weeks of pre-streams, it's been just coping. Low views, his bad reputation, people don't like him, everything is just, like, mega cope. It's beginning to get, like, super sad to watch, but it's still very entertaining. A big of Swedish drama.
Let me search for the drama videos about this person. So they're searching for my detractor videos about me, and they see, what did the detractor say today? And they believe that's what's going on. They watch it quick, and then that's what they talk about on their stream. That's what I said. That's the problem.
But he watched your video, though, right? He watched his video, uncut. It was the unrecorded segment.
Fuck this part! Oh my god! This part can hop on my car.
Mask, either slander, defamation.
And now we just talk about the trolls. So basically that's it. So Critical is basically Rich Review Tech USA at this point. That's basically all that it is. And I guess you can go and watch that whole segment, because it's going to be clipped out by somebody. It probably is at this point. So yeah, you can probably find the clip of it. And basically that's the stream. I'm going to go off and have an early night in bed. Because that's cool. Or you can go watch Review Bros' review of the Deluxe Wagyu Steakhouse Burger review. Wow, that's based and cool. Yeah, you can go watch the Snort Hogan clips of it. Probably going to have them on the way. And yeah, that's it. Listen to... not Pignosis. Let's play something else. Something else to listen...
And then it's gonna pop up the wrong thing. God, I love this shit. I need Vista thumbnail maker. Nothing else. Laptop, thank you. Not Adobe, just that. That's what I need.
I was triggered by that trigger warning video. I was triggered. What's going on, guys?
So I just got this candle from Hotel Collection. I had some friends over last night, and all of them were absolutely in love with it, asking how I got my place to literally smell like a hotel. It's safe for children and pets, it burns for hours, and you can even pick which 5-star hotel you want it to smell like. The candle I got is My Way, and it smells exactly like the one hotel in Miami. I definitely recommend checking them out.
animal. How you guys doing? We should set up for this bit. What would you do? Whoa, relax, Jerry Thomas. What would you do if you You're sugar by the Andes? Thumbnail? I get that, brother. I get that. Oh, that's not Lex Friedman. That's nice. Can't believe you're triggered by Andrew Dickerson. Turkey Thomas, oh yeah, brother. Kirkland Thomas. Alright, let me just get a quick wee-wee out of my body, and then we'll do this. We'll bang this out. Trigger warning. I might have time to go.
I'm not ready. Ready, father. Watch out!
Motherfucker! Thank God.
I think the lag is on your end, dude. You know?
Fuck.
Little story for you guys before we get into this. Today, I decided to take my wife out to Walmart. Let's go to Walmart. One of the things we did. Cool little thing. Buy some stuff. I love my wife, I appreciate her. She likes going shopping at Walmart, Target, stuff like that. So I want to take her out. Before we left, my mother always taught me to drain the old radiator. You know what I'm saying? So I drained the radiator, but as some of you guys know, some of you men, I didn't dribble the ball enough, if you know what I'm saying. I didn't, and I put it away, and I accidentally got a little bit on my undies. A little blotting on my willy. Unfortunately, it was a little more than I had realized. So it ended up bleeding through the underwear a little bit, and I had a little pee stain on my pants. And that's very embarrassing. And of course you're asking, well, Papa God, why didn't you just change your pants then? The problem is my wife really liked those pants a lot. So I was like, I have to wear them. So what I did is I tried to put some water on it, wash it up a little bit, dry it, blot it, dry it as much as I could. And I figured, hey, the Walmart we're going to, it's a bigger Walmart, it's a bit of a drive. And maybe we'll just go driving around looking at houses and stuff real quick, you know. So we started doing that. It was an entire hour by the time we got to the Walmart, and I figured, hey, we're Gucci. So I stand up and I'm in the car and I look down and it's like, wow, it's still there. Now it's a Sunday, so I'm thinking, okay, going into Walmart, there's not going to be too many people there, right? For some reason, it was the busiest day in Walmart on a Sunday night that could have ever existed. Incredible stuff. So I have a master plan. And I get out of the car. My wife will never know. Let's go inside. Let's go shopping. Let's grab. I'm going to find a pair of gray shorts. Easy peasy. She'll never realize it. Walk behind the cart.
There we go.
I am offering you a chance to atone for what you have done. To help bring down the single greatest threat to New Orleans.
Life's oblivious. So far, so good. A lot of people. So far, so good. So I start weaving through the aisles and kind of beelining for where I think the clothing is. Of course, I don't know where the fuck I'm going, so I'm like, whoa. So my wife's like, where are we going? I said, I just want to check out some men's attire. She's like, well, it's actually the opposite direction. Now I've bobbed and weaved throughout the entirety of this store so far. Now we got to make a beeline. I have to try to dodge as many people as possible. Of course, there's a person in almost every aisle. Tactfully, we managed to get through there. So, but we get to the men's area, and, you know, now the difficulty is trying to find fucking shorts. It's winter. But we managed to find a nice beige pair of shorts. I believe this is the color. Okay. Find those shorts. They're my size. No problem. What's the next thing that happens? What is that on your pants?
No.
My wife found out. She could see it visibly. That was so part of the plan was ruined. Fortunately, it was a little embarrassing, but I was able to go into the the changing room with the outfit. The problem is now my wife knows, and I'm feeling a little suspicious. But now we try to go to the changing room, and of course, there's it's not open. So my wife, the champion she is, she goes and asks somebody for me, so I don't have to leave the protection of my cart that's blocking the view of my pee stain. So anyway, I was able to go in there. I did a really good tactful tactician. I did a really good I can't say the word. Tactical job. Putting the other pants on, putting the other ones on there, back onto the rack, the ones I was wearing. And I walk out and I tell my wife, I hold up the PE pants and I say, well, we're going to buy these loudly, so everybody knows I'm not actually switching the pants. Of course, people just stared at me, so that was a little uncomfortable. But then we just went about our day shopping, and now I'm wearing the new pants. So, make sure, guys, that you dribble the pee off of your wiggler, and maybe even take a little piece of tissue paper, toilet paper, and blot the tip of your wiener. Or sometimes what I'll do is I'll just kind of wipe it with my finger and flick it into the toilet, and then I'll wash my hands. But I feel like now I'm just putting my dirty fingers in my penis hole, so that's probably not a good idea. Anyway. Trigger warning, oversharing. How's that? I like that story. Relatable Papa God moments. Thank you for the story. No problem, man. You know, I'm just telling my embarrassing stories so that you guys can avoid this. Okay, because you never want to be having this problem. Men, wipe your penises. Okay. Well, guys, Very educational stream. Listen, I'm a supporter of young men. Just trying to make sure you guys grow the correct way. All right, guys, here we go. Let me actually get a yawn out real quick. All right, guys. Here we go. So, Turkey Tom released a video about Andy. Censored last name. Huh? So unfortunate they had his last name that could make the video get me demonetized. Sussy stuff, am I right? Anyway, a while back we saw Andrew on a real live stream in like the RV, and it was pretty bad. This guy, I really don't like this guy. As the video goes on, you'll see how abhorrent this guy, like what he's done is. He's just a real piece of garbage. So let's get this one going.
What would you do if you became famous? Would you be able to handle it?
I go to Disney twice a year. Oh, my wife, my wife.
Off many of our vices by the simple fact that we don't have the time and money to fuel them to their fullest extent. But what if you did? The wealth to finally satiate all of his deepest, darkest desires. Whether you're
Turkey Tom starting his own Hustlers University. Sign me up, brother.
Pensions, material possessions, sex, drugs, or combinations of them. The status to get whoever you want, to do whatever you want, and on top of it all, to get away with basically everything. Would you be able to resist the temptation to give in once the only thing stopping you is your own willpower? That might be the truest test.
Yeah. No, I don't.
Moral character. And from what little we know about the true workings of the celebrity industry, many fail that test. Not to be pessimistic, but most people can barely handle a follower count to the tune of triple digits. So imagine how that...
It's so correct. It's so silly, but it's so real, man. It's kind of tough. It can be a little bit tough sometimes, especially when you're feeling. People do not know how to handle it. They get attention sometimes. I think it's the worst for people who don't do provocative stuff. Like, as a commentary content creator, when you comment on, the provocative misdoings of some people, you have to have a little bit of a thicker skin, of course. But, like, there are people who are just doing, like, makeup tutorials, and then all of a sudden, somebody found out that they said, like, the N-word in a tweet with a soft A, 12 years ago, and now that person's canceled forever. It's insane how people are, people are real goobers on the internet. Like, they're psychotic with, like, such unreasonable, like, expectations. Like, oh, when this person was a kid, they did a bad thing. Wow. Okay. Did anybody die? No. But it was offensive. Oh, but they were, like, 12? Yeah. Okay. I think we're okay. No. Gotta ruin their life. Seems a little bit weird,
that it can get once there's actual celebrity status involved. Well, you don't have to imagine, because what you're about to watch is one of the most poetic and downright
so weirdly nice picture of Andy Dick. Maybe he got that chemical peel we were talking about before.
Extensive demonstrations of that fact. A man who once collaborated with names like Chris Farley, Joe Rogan, Ben Stiller, and Marilyn Manson. He was even on long-standing adult comedy show
Marilyn Manson. There could be a whole video essay about Marilyn Manson himself. He's a little bit of a suspicious character as well. With some of the ways he treats women are it's a little kooky, so.
Now you can see him in the Andy Dick show on him.
But I guess with a guy looking like that, it's almost like his entire being is a little bit of a trigger warning.
TV. 2 decades later, he is sitting on live stream being watched by a few dozen people who get entertainment out of watching him grow for citizens and then get arrested for it. Again.
Police told our newsroom that Dick was arrested in San Francisco back on October 13th.
This is the story of Andy Dick. For most of us in the internet age, Andy Dick was simply before our time, but he was a near A-list celebrity back in the 90s and early 2000s. He got his start in comedy straight out of high school, joining the highly influential comedy troupe The Second City, which has bumped up celebrity after celebrity over the course of decades.
I'm just looking at celebrities, it's weird, I don't see. And this with the toes, I think that list was the most popular and good celebrity comedians is so weird. Though he's such a bad guy.
But then he grown into test tubes. One must wonder, however, why he's nowhere to be seen among the second city's prestigious list of alumni. His first big break was in 1992 when he sketch comedy series The Ben Stiller Show, which met its swift end, being canceled after a mere 13 episodes. He would continue making appearances in shows and movies until 1995, when he secured a spot on News Radio, an NBC sitcom, and also one of the Rogan's first breaks in television.
Wow, Joseph is very young there. He looks very nice.
He appeared in other sitcoms as well around that time, such as Less Than Perfect, Get Smarts, and The Nanny. And he would also land plenty of film cameos and voiceover work into the early 2000s, making himself a familiar face for comedy fans at the time. As goofy as he was on the small screen, doing slapstick and sitcoms and lowbrow antics in sketch comedy shows, he was developing a greater penchant for substance abuse as his presence in the spotlight grew.
Drunk Andy, and when Drunk Andy's around, he's gonna get the fuck out of there. You know, you can tell the difference. The guy's very impressive. Yeah, it's like bangs in the carpet. Oh no, it's Drunk Andy.
Yeah. Alcoholism seemed to be his main.
How? That's nuts, man. Like, let's remove the horrible things anything is done, but let's just stick to like the alcohol issues. It's unfortunate. Like some people become such bad people when they get drunk. Am I gonna comment something? And they still will get drunk. I mean, what a horrible thing to be addicted to, you know? You know, hey, bring back prohibition, guys.
Advice, and though surely there were people who tried to put him on the right path, he only fell deeper into the clutches of addiction. Fellow comedian and Second City member.
Addiction. Andy addiction. Andrew addiction.
Chris Farley was his AA sponsor, or was supposed to be anyways. At some point, Chris himself relapsed into his old habits of alcohol and illicit drug abuse, to the point where it was clear for all to see in 1997, when in December, he was found dead in his apartment at just 33 years old, from an overdose of cocaine and morphine.
I wonder... Alexa, play the Rings of Power. Do you believe it?
Revenue growth. That's what I'm here to teach. Let's get growing. Let's get growing. Come on, let's get growing. Let's get growing. If you don't believe in data analytics, don't believe in rainbow fluid. Never let the numbers hit you. If the numbers any efficiencies have no place on winning team. You will not miss. That remains undefeated.
A narrow path negates superior numbers.
Because I wonder if it's a weird thing to say, but you know, like I think one of the biggest areas where somebody who does drugs can relapse is like, or excuse me, that like has I think the highest chance of somebody, the highest chance of overdosing somebody is when they relapse. That's what I'm trying to say. Sorry for not saying that at all. But it's because I believe it's because like once you stop doing something for a while, your build up to it goes away. So if you're somebody who is used to doing a certain amount of drugs, and you stop for like let's say 2 months, your body's tolerance will obviously go down, and then they still go back. Sometimes they'll go back to doing the same amount, thinking that their tolerance is still up there. And then what ends up happening is they unfortunately overdose. Sad stuff, man.
We don't know for sure what impact Farley's death had on Andy, but I think it's safe to say it wasn't a positive one. This was not his only experience along these lines. In fact, around the same time, he attended a Christmas party hosted by Phil Hartman, a co-star on News Radio. Andy supplied the cocaine that caused Hartman's wife, Bryn, to relapse into her addiction after 10 years of sobriety. This relapse would culminate in tragedy. 5 months later, while high on cocaine, she murdered Phil before taking her own life.
At 6:20 this morning, residents of this upscale Encino neighborhood called police to report gunshots coming from the Hartman's gated estate. Officers arrived to find a 6-year-old boy and a 6-year-old girl by the front door. As they were taking the children out of the house, officers heard a gunshot in the master bedroom. There they discovered comedian Phil Hartman dead. Authorities say it appears his wife Bryn shot him, then turned the gun on herself.
John Lovitz replied,
"Wow, that's horrible. I think I heard about this. I think Lovitz gives anything for shit, which I think he deserves. But at the same time, I think that the reality here is that while I think that there is a level of responsibility, well, I don't know how much responsibility any victims have in that scenario, only because, she decided to do the drugs. Though you will say that, if he didn't give her that influence, she may not have done those things, you know what I mean? Maybe there is a level of responsibility, you know what I mean? Like, it's hardest to be an addict when you're in a scenario where, realistically, that's why people who go to like AA retreats and stuff, like, it's a little bit easier for them. They have the ability to get off of drugs because they're in a very controlled environment. But then once you go back into like your normal environment, things go south sometimes, especially when they're religiously focused. You know, because not everybody is going to be able to maintain that like religious devotion. So yeah, okay.
Replaced Phil Hartman on news radio, but the show wouldn't last long following his loss. NBC ended the sitcom after the finale of the following season. Allegedly, during a taping of one of the final episodes of the show, Andy Dick told Lovitz, "You shouldn't be here," to which Lovitz replied, "Well, I wouldn't be here if you hadn't given Gran Coke in the first place." His streak of destructive behavior did not end there. As a matter of fact, it snowballed to even larger proportions, however that's possible. In 1999, when not even a year had passed since Phil Hartman's death, Andy went on a bender of partying in strip clubs and taking drugs in Las Vegas. He took with him fellow actor David Strickland, flying out together from Los Angeles on March 20th. He would, however, return alone. While intoxicated, Strickland hung himself with a bedsheet that was tied over the ceiling beam of his motel room. He died during morning hours of March 22nd, 1999, when he was just 29 years old. Dick was questioned in the suicide and identified his body. The string of deaths related to his actions, a series of beloved actors and comedians, no less, didn't go unnoticed. He was no longer in the headlines for his talent or whatever new show or movie he was said to take part in, but instead for his controversies and reckless behavior. The negative emotions, negative attention, and possible guilt or remorse made him all the more likely to turn to drugs or an escape. A few months later, on May 15th...
Probably. I mean, I guess there's a conversation. Why does this keep happening? Are these people like continuously relapsing because of Andy Dick? I mean, Jesus Christ, what an irresponsible piece of garbage.
1999, Andy crashed his car into a utility pole in Hollywood. Unsurprisingly, he was under the influence, possessing cocaine and cannabis in his vehicle, for which he was arrested and charged for, along with driving under the influence and committing a hit and run. He ended up pleading guilty, but got the charges against him dropped after completing an 18-month drug diversion program, which allows nonviolent offenders to receive treatment for their addiction rather than jail time. Surprisingly enough,
it makes sense to do that. Like, here's the thing. Here's one of the things that people should talk about a little bit more when it comes to, like, people talk about, like, we need to defund the police and all that stuff. There's certain situations like this where, and I know that prison guards, correctional officers aren't police officers, but I think it's somewhat similar. A correctional officer is not his job or responsibility to deal with a drug addict. The fact that they'll put drug addicts in jail, which makes sense if they're like a more violent drug addict, but the fact that like they may not get like the support for their drug addiction, like a CO can't do that. That's not in their job description. They didn't go to school for that at all. But they didn't go to school for that. You know what I mean? Like and so like there really needs to be better drug programs for people. I don't know how effective they can be. It seems like it's pretty difficult to get off drugs once you get onto it. And I don't know how successful people are at getting off of drugs. I mean, I wonder. I think it's one of those things where sometimes it's like we need to learn to do preventative methods over anything else. But that's one of those things. Like, how the fuck is a correctional officer supposed to deal with that? Like, how does a police officer know how to deal with like a mental health issue on the scene, especially somebody with like a gun or a knife? Like, what are they supposed to do? You know?
He managed to keep his nose clean in the coming years. It looked as though the program was what he truly needed to put him on the right path. On MTV, he created 3 seasons of The Andy Dick Show between the years of 2001 and 2002. He also got his own reality show on MTV called The Assistants, where contestants would compete against each other to become his personal helper. Unlike others who had entirely succumbed to their addictions and never gotten a chance to recover because of their passing, maybe Andy's story could have something of a happy ending, where he at least partially redeemed himself and continued entertaining his fans. Though he couldn't undo the damage he may have caused, perhaps he could cease to bring any more harm to himself and those around him.
Chapter 2.
At the end of 2004, those hopes were squandered. He got himself into trouble again, but this time, a very different pattern of behavior emerged. A side of Andy that hadn't ever shown its face before, at least not in the public eye. On December 4th, 2004, he was arrested for mooting people in a McDonald's and charged with indecent exposure. At the time, this probably seemed like a relatively harmless stunt in the grand scheme of things. As juvenile and ridiculous an act as a 38-year-old exposing his ass to a group of McDonald's customers is, it was a sign of the much more sinister...
I'll take those ones.
Pattern of behavior to come. Next year, in 2005, while performing at Yuck Yuck's Comedy Club, he pulled down his pants and exposed his dick to the audience. Though this incident didn't result in an arrest or any lawsuits, he was promptly removed from the stage. He was scheduled to perform a second night, but obviously, that too was canceled. There was no...
Hold on, show. Papa got a so he has a local mall. I won't name the mall, thank you. Last Black Friday, but was a pussy and didn't come up. Would you ever do a meet? I don't know if I would do a meet-in up around the area, but if you see me in public, like, you're more than welcome to, like, walk up to me respectfully. That's no problem, brother. Like, don't. don't feel intimidated, you know.
Slowing down, though, he only audience. Though this incident didn't result in an it was a sign of the much more sinister pattern of behavior to come. Next year, in 2005, while performing at Yuck Yuck's Comedy Club, he pulled down his pants and exposed his dick to the audience. Though this incident didn't result in an arrest or any lawsuits.
I guess you kind of have to at that point if your last name's Dick, huh? I'm just kidding. Why would they do that? Now that like there's a question of like, is this something that he's getting off to? Is this like a sexual perversion to expose himself in public, or does he just think it's funny? This is a weird new behavior, though.
He was promptly removed from the stage. He was scheduled to perform a second night, but obviously, that too was canceled. There was no slowing down, though. He only pressed the accelerator on these creepy and inexplicable sexual acts. Considering that strange behavior from celebrities is basically the norm, the industry must not have thought much of these two incidents, because Andy Dick was invited that same year to the Comedy Central roast of Pamela Anderson. Surely, he wouldn't pose a threat in a televised environment.
Right? Hey, if you guys saw Pam and Tommy, my girl Pam did nothing wrong, bro. That was crazy. They did her dirty. She got fucking. I feel like Pam could have been a more prolific, is that the word? Positive influence. You know what I mean? But unfortunately, we'll kind of shit on her. Watch that show on HBO. It's actually very good.
Well, the irresponsibility of the show's organizers led to a groping incident live on air. During the roast, Andy pretended that he was Pamela Anderson's plastic surgeon, joking that her breasts were fake. As a part of this gag, he repeatedly groped them over the course of an entire minute.
Don't worry, she can't feel any of this. She can't feel it.
People magazine wrote the following about Andy's actions. In resurfaced footage of the incident, Dick groped her breasts as he reported to show the audience how well-engineered they were. This is all standard procedure.
So here, hold on. What a weird situation to be in for her. How unfortunate. First of all, like, there's going to be some people like, well, it's a comedy show. If she was like, hey, if he said, hey, is it alright if I do like a little bit where I touch your breasts as I make fun of your plastic surgery, then she says, yeah, go for it. That's perfectly fine. You don't assume it didn't happen. I guess there's a possibility that it did happen. But like, you don't touch somebody at all, whether they're a man or a woman like that. In such like a sexual way without their consent. And it's so crazy though, because I feel like back then people probably didn't give too much of a shit, because like, well, especially since like the bad I don't know, like the bad perception the society had of Pamela Anderson, like where, oh, she's like a sex person, so like it's okay to do these things. And, you know, it's.
How does 1 carat diamond stud sound for $9.85? Or carat and a halves at $19.85? And 2 carat diamond stud earrings at $39.85? These are just a few of the deals going on this weekend during our diamond extravaganza.
Throw in the largest selection of GIA loose certified diamonds at the most competitive prices in the world, and an appearance by Takori, America's top bridal designer, and you have the largest diamond.
It's fucking weird. Now, I don't know if that was the reaction, but it's kind of fucked either way.
He said Anderson appeared shocked by Dick's behavior, but also seemed to try and laugh it off.
Well, of course she is.
So sorry, fellow roast attendee.
Because if she stood up for herself, she probably would have been like, oh, why are you so sensitive? It's a joke. Because this was back in the day, you know?
Love could be heard saying during the clip while reaching out to hold Anderson's hand. Dick later told the audience, don't worry, she can't feel any of this. Correcting him, Anderson replied, I can so. But he didn't stop there. He remained on stage and would go on to attempt to grope Courtney Love as well, but she had the nerve to slap him across the face. Andy also mimed performing oral sex on Tommy Lee, who at the time was Pamela Anderson's husband.
I'm a doctor. Out of my way.
Assuming this.
I'm surprised Tommy Lee didn't smack him, bro. What happened, brother? Why didn't you knock him out? Skills training. Good.
Wasn't planned in advance, considering Pamela's evident discomforts. Why did nobody stop Andy as he assaulted her? Why wasn't he immediately kicked off the roast after that? It's a dark thought, but seemingly the only answer is that the producers cared more about the show going off without a hitch. Acknowledged.
Possibly they just didn't. They just at the time thought it was like, who cares? It's funny. A roast of Pam Anderson. What year was that? He probably said it 2005. Oh yeah, people were probably just like, it's just a joke. Like, you're too sensitive, kind of a bullshit. They probably just thought it was like provocative humor, but it's not. That's a violation of someone's boundaries. Just because you're a celebrity doesn't mean that you lose like autonomy. It's fucking ridiculous.
The sexual misconduct that had just happened on live TV, with fellow cast members doing nothing to stop it, would be very uncomfortable and awkward, not to mention the fact that it could potentially make the situation worse. Pretending the whole thing was a part of the roast and moving on, however, could salvage it, act like nothing happened, and simply avoid another incident by not inviting Andy back. Problem solved. However, they did invite Andy back the very next year for William Shatner's roast, in August 2006. Given this time, he added a new weapon of mass discomfort, actually licking people's faces.
I wonder, they must not have said anything to him behind the scenes, because like, at the very least, what should happen is like, yo, you cannot touch people anymore. At all. You know?
Clobbered on Farrah Fawcett, Carrie Fisher, and Patton Oswalt, and we even have footage of it. His tradition of publicly groping people also made an appearance at the event, as his next victim of the night was a female photojournalist working for the New York Post, whom he sexually harassed in a myriad of ways. According to Hollywood.com, she claimed that he groped her, tried to kiss her, then proclaimed his love for her and bit her on the hand. Later, he allegedly urinated in front of her and offered her cocaine. Somehow, even after these situations, he still had other methods of getting into hot water hidden up his sleeves. A few months later, in December 2006, while performing at the Improv Comedy Club in LA, Andy said to the audience, "You're all a bunch of N-words."
Literally sitting here, Jesus Christ. I'm literally sitting here, and I'm like, he couldn't do anything worse than what Kramer did. Like, but that's the literal thought in my head, and I'm like, I don't need to say that, because that won't mean anything. But it meant everything. It meant literally everything if I had said that. Oh my god, what a fucking dumbass piece of shit.
Apparently, this was a callback to when Michael Richards, best known for playing Kramer in Seinfeld, used the same slur to insult hecklers 2 weeks earlier, but the context didn't make his use of the word any less offensive to the audience. He apologized with the following statement: "I chose to make a joke about a subject that is not funny, in an attempt to make light of a serious subject. I have offended a lot of people, and I am sorry for my insensitivity. I wish to apologize to Ian, to the club and its patrons, and to anyone who was hurt or offended by my remark." Apparently, all of this misbehavior...
I mean, that was a valid apology, weirdly enough. That doesn't mean that anybody has to accept it. But like, that was like, okay. I mean, I get where he's coming from, at least, where it's like, I was trying to make a joke out of it. Okay, sure. And the joke obviously misfired. Where are the apologies for the groping? Like, why did nobody hold him to the standard of like a public apology for the groping? So many questions.
Amir still failed to dissuade shows from inviting Andy Dick on as a guest, specifically in situations when he was in a position to embarrass and even traumatize people.
Andy, don't please.
He was forcibly removed from a show for his conduct in February 2007, when on Jimmy Kimmel Live, he started touching Ivanka Trump's legs to her obvious discomforts. Moments later, he said to her, "Baby, give me a big, fat, wet, sloppy kiss," at which point Kimmel and his security guards dragged him off stage, all played off as a joke, of course, to keep up appearances. The level of negligence in the industry was nigh inexplicable when it came to Andy, although with cases like that of Harvey Weinstein being revealed much later on, we can see how the environment of showbiz actively and regularly fostered the crimes of these perverted characters, and allowed them to get away with it scot-free over the course of years. Kimmel made a statement on what happened, saying, "Andy did a segment, he was a little out of it. When Ivanka came out, he wanted a big, wet kiss. It was time for Andy to go, so I escorted him out by his feet. He always makes me a little uncomfortable. You have no idea what he's going to do next." Andy was apparently unfazed. As Kimmel added, "He's Andy. He's not upset. He's not apologetic. He's just nutty." Andy had his own comments to make about the situation 10 years later on Instagram. "The time I groped Trump's daughter, Ivanka, on Jimmy Kimmel Live. Her legs were sparkling, and I was trying to see if the glitter would wipe off. I also mistakenly thought she would date me. I was jokingly carried off by security." He claims it wasn't a sexual thing, but he was indeed interested in dating her.
That doesn't make any sense what he's saying. It doesn't make sense what he says. Like, he tries to claim that it wasn't, that there was like nothing sexual there. But then he also was like, I thought she actually wanted to date me. That's like literal incel behavior. Yeah, I did this thing to this girl, even though she didn't say she wanted it, because I kind of knew she wanted it. This guy's fucking gross.
Jokingly carried off by security. He claims it wasn't a sexual thing, but
I'm sure they tried to play it off as a joke, but it seemed like it was a necessary thing.
Indeed interested in dating her. On the other hand, he was a guy 16 years her senior, rubbing his hands on her legs on network television, so I'm somewhat dubious of his concern for cleaning the glitter off of her legs.
I mean, I don't think his age necessarily matters as long as they're both like adults. It's more of like, it's disgusting to even touch somebody like that. This guy's a troglodyte. We're gonna use that as that's our new word of the day, of the minute. I don't know.
2007, he also picked up his feud with John Lovitz again over Phil Hartman's death. Lovitz provided details about their confrontations, which ended up getting physical. Lovitz said he was sitting at a table with a friend, and a group at the table next to him treated them to some peach liquors. Apparently, Dick and a friend came over to their table and downed both liquors. He's standing there with liquor dripping down his chin, and he says, "I put the Phil Hartman hex on you. You're the next one to die." Lovitz wants an apology from Dick for his Hartman's hex comments. "I just wanted him to say, 'Oh, I'm sorry,'" said Lovitz. Then he leans into me. "Well, you know why I said that? Because you..."
I mean, at that point, I would have just said, like your fucking best friend dies. Part of the reason is attributed to like somebody getting their wife relapsed. I mean, holy fuck, dude! If there was never a fucking more justifiable moment to hit somebody, that's crazy. Jesus Christ, what a scumbag.
You said I killed Phil Hartman. That's the first thing you said to me when you got on the show. So I grabbed him by his shirt and pushed him really hard, and I smashed his back and his head into the bar. And I did it again. I would have kept going, but the doorman broke it up. At this point, it had been roughly 8 decades since the beginning of their altercations, but that didn't seem to mean anything to a drunk, resentful Andy Dick.
Well, Andy Dick's up there going, yeah, motherfuckers, and we're like, oh, fuck off. And so I'm like, "Good night." I'm like, yeah, I run back up. "Hey, Andy Dick, everybody." And John Lovitz is slamming Andy Dick against the wall in the lobby. Really? There's a fight with John Lovitz going like, "Motherfucker!" trying to whoop his ass. John Lovitz and Phil Hartman were best buddies.
Absolutely.
And that night that she had killed him, that night, it was fucked up because Andy Dick was with her. Andy Dick, I think they were doing the drugs together.
Yeah.
Whoa! This is just one of many problems of his that just continue to rear their...
Was he there that night? I thought it was... I didn't think it was that night, but okay, that makes it, like, that still makes it worse, I guess. Yeah, man, that's fucked. You know? That's like, damn. I don't know the relationship, but if they're, like, best friends, you know what I mean? Like, that's a... I mean, it depends on how much that means to somebody, but for a lot of people, that could mean a lot. Like, you know, best friend could mean, like, almost like a partner in some capacity, not a sexual partner, but... You know, I couldn't imagine what, you know, he had lost that night as well. That sucks, man.
Her head's back up over his life and put him in trouble all over again. Now listen, I know watching YouTube for 14 hours a day isn't exactly conducive for smelling the best. Drenched in your own sweat, monster, and snack crumbs, it's pretty hard to smell nice.
Don't tell people I don't shower every day, okay? It's not necessary, because all I do is sit on the computer, okay? Don't tell people. That's not me on the screen, guys. I have a longer beard and a shorter hair. Okay?
Mom comes in to remind you that high school ended 5 years ago. Thankfully, that smell doesn't have to linger anymore, thanks to today's sponsor, Scentbird. Scentbird is a fragrance subscription service with a mission to...
Listen, it was a funny plug for it, but all I'm going to say is do not just use scents to subsidize a shower, okay? Please don't do that. Take a fucking shower, guys. Like, it doesn't work. I remember back in the day, people they would basically just shower in Axe body spray. They smell like garbage, bro. It was nuts. You can't be doing that.
Empower each and every person to express themselves through scents. They have a vibrant community of fragrance aficionados and beginners, stories of fragrance houses, and up-and-coming perfumers, all brought together by their belief in the power of scents. Whether you're a beginner or just building a collection, they'll cater to your needs. And if you're looking to expand your horizons, just take a simple quiz, which alongside your preferences and past purchases will be used to recommend new products. This month, I received Veronique Gabai du Jour, Brioni, and Perfumes de Marley Layton.
You guys know that? You guys know that kid on, there's like the scent guy, he's like an adult, but then there's also a kid that's a scent guy, he just smells, he's a Hispanic guy, he's like, oh, this is so good. It's just so weird, the scent guys on TikTok are fucking crazy.
It might be time to get a new mattress when your phone recharges overnight, but you never do. At Bears Furniture, we have the technology to find your mattress match at an unbeatable price. It might be time to go to Bears.
Hold on a minute. Have you listened to my podcast yet? It's called the Mr. Ballin Podcast, Strange, Dark, and Mysterious Stories, and it's now available ad-free on Amazon Music. All you have to do is download the app, search Mr. Ballin, and boom! You have your next true, terrifying story. Listen only on Amazon Music.
Favorite is the Brioni, which is more of a cedarwood and pink peppercorn smell. In the mix is also green apple, violet, and tonka bean. Veronique Gabai is more of a citrusy smell, with scents like lemon and mandarin. Scentbird lets you try a new designer fragrance to try every month for just $17. They carry Prada, Gucci, Versace, and niche brands like Skylar, Heretic, and Confessions of a Rebel. So if all of that sounds good to you, then use my code TurkeyTom to get 55% off your first month at Scentbird. Once again, use code TurkeyTom to get 55% off your first month at Scentbird.
Scentbird.
His crimes would only escalate over time, with each year bringing a new controversy along the same lines. On July 16, 2008, Dick was arrested in Murrieta, California, on suspicion of drug possession and sexual battery. He exposed the breasts of a 17-year-old when he allegedly grabbed and pulled down her tank top.
Andy Dick, arrested. Again, he pulled some girl's shirt down in her bra. Again, exposed her. Again.
During a search of his person, police reported finding a small quantity of cannabis and one Xanax tablet for which he did not have a prescription. He was released from jail.
I don't understand like the mentality, like truly, and like I'm okay, sounds great. From like why? What's with all these weird sexual things? Is it like, does he get off on it, or does he just think that this is funny? Like, I don't get it. I truly do not understand the motivation behind it. It's wrong regardless. I'm just genuinely curious about it. It's so fucking bizarre.
After posting $5,000 bail, Dick eventually pled guilty to misdemeanor battery and marijuana possession. He was sentenced to 3 years probation, had to pay about $700 in fine, and was ordered to wear an alcohol monitoring bracelet for 1 year. With such a serious crime under his belt, the sexual battery of a 17-year-old girl, it became clear just how nefarious his previous actions were. Before, maybe you could have chalked them up to his eccentricity and him growing up in a different time period. If you were really going out of your way to defend the man, but now it was crystal clear just what kind of person he was. Unfortunately, things only got worse from here. On January 23, 2010, Dick was arrested at about 4 a.m. at a bar in Huntington, West Virginia, on charges of sexual abuse after reportedly groping a bartender and a patron. He was released from jail after pleading not guilty and posting $60,000 bail. According to E! News, officers responded to a call at Rum Runners nightclub, where 2 victims, a bartender and club goer, as well as several witnesses, alleged that Dick engaged in unwanted and uninvited groping of 2 victims' genital areas, according to a statement from Huntington. Further details about the allegations were provided by a local news station. According to the criminal,
I didn't realize it was that deep with like all the shit that he was doing. It's nuts, dude.
complaint, a security guard at the club claims he was trying to put an armband on Dick when he became the victim of sexual abuse. The guard says Dick grabbed his crotch and began laughing. Another man says that Dick sexually abused him. The man says he was talking to Dick when, unexpectedly and without invitation, Dick grabbed his crotch and began kissing him. This was witnessed by the victim's girlfriend. As he was hollering and talking, he kissed my neck, the second accuser said. As I turned around, it was shocking. I was trying to walk away. I felt a hand go in my pants. Apparently, the charges were dismissed after he completed a pretrial diversion program involving no...
Why do the charges keep getting dismissed? I don't fucking understand that. What? Like, why would the charges get dismissed? I mean, I can understand, like, I don't understand. Maybe I can understand lesser sentencing, but I feel like the charges getting I don't, like, what the fuck? That just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but, like, if the charges keep getting dismissed, doesn't that mean they're no longer on his record in some capacity, or in a less meaningful way, so that, like, if he ever gets arrested for doing it again, like, they get a lesser sentence? You know, don't these sentences build upon each other based on history, and so he's getting them dismissed? Doesn't that, like, speak? Like, they shouldn't get dismissed. He's done it more than once. Oh, I'm gonna fucking die. Fuck, holy shit.
No legal trouble or drug use for a period of 6 months. This treatment is usually reserved for people who are unlikely to reoffend, lightening the burden of court cases on the system by discarding relatively insignificant ones. However, Andy had several previous arrests for similar charges, so I'm left wondering how come that the authorities on his case were asleep at the wheel enough to, yet again, allow him to get away with a mere slap on the wrist after engaging in what should legally be recognized as mass groping. However, the arraignment for those charges didn't take place until July 2011, and the diversion program took place in 2012. While the case was being processed, he managed to go on a spree of misbehavior, but somehow didn't manage to impress on the judge the importance of putting proper punishment on Andy.
When Andy Dick fell off the wagon, I said he has to be sober for a year before he can come over my house. So when he got arrested, I was like, whew. Yeah. Just bought myself some time. Jesus Christ, bro. Start the clock again. Another year, Andy. Problem is you can never trust him. I'm so sober. I'm so sober.
Throughout all of this, it goes without saying that Andy's work in the industry was trailing off, and he wasn't getting gigs like he used to, though it's more likely this was due to his simple inability to work due to the influence of drugs, rather than any moral reservations on behalf of producers and directors.
I don't know about that. Well, okay, so, the question of whether they do or don't actually care is one thing. I mean, maybe the producers don't give a fuck, but I would say on the other hand, they might be like, well, yeah, we don't really want a guy who could potentially cause us a lawsuit, you know what I mean? So
As we'll see later, 7 months after the bartender incident, on July 4th, 2010, Andy crashed a house party in Venice, California, obviously drunk. A purported eyewitness to the events that unfolded alleged the following. I was just hanging out with friends at the party, and all of a sudden Andy Dick stumbled in. He just flopped himself down on the couch and was clearly under the influence. At one point, he started grabbing some of the girls at the party inappropriately. Andy actually exposed himself at one point. He even tried to tell the people who owned the house to go buy him more beer. He was finally asked to leave and had to have his handlers come pick him up. The whole thing was actually very sad.
And then, he came on the podcast and he was intimating that, I was mean to him when he was young. But I'm like, dude, you used to pull your dick out. You used to show up fucked up. Yeah, he probably just always had a look on your face like, what the fuck are you doing? It was hard work. That translates into, he's a meanie. Yeah. He doesn't stand around and laugh at all my antics.
Just a couple months later, in October 2010.
That's so weird. So he used to always do this, pull his dick out and show people. Why is that a sense of humor that he has? I don't understand. Why is that so appropriate to him? It's so weird. I know it's so bizarre. It's almost like Jeffrey Dahmer, this guy at this point. I'm genuinely curious. I don't understand the motivation behind this behavior. This is some of the behavior that happens with the Jackass group, but that's consensual. That's fine. I don't care about that. You know what I mean? It's a consensual behavior, so it's not something that bothers me. If you guys want to fucking pull your wieners out and show them to each other, I guess do your fucking thing, you know what I mean? But if it's not a consensual thing, I just don't understand. I don't understand what the fuck is this idiot's motivation for these things. Why does he think it's funny? Why hasn't he gotten the hint that it's not funny? Despite the fact that nobody seems to think it is funny. Maybe because he's a celebrity? I don't know.
Made a commotion at a Hollywood cafe by yet again flashing people. Apparently, Dick was sitting with a group of about 4 people and kissed one of the guys on the lips before whipping out his privates and fleeing the scene. Grub Street, New York Magazine's food blog, also reported on the event, adding that one of their own photographers had been purportedly groped by Andy in September 2009, though no further details are still available on the web. Sometime during 2010, which he faced a lawsuit for in 2011, Andy exposed his genitals and rubbed them against a male audience member's face during a comedy set in Dallas. Although, lucky for Andy, the patron dropped the lawsuit.
He rubbed his genitals against the person? What the fuck?
In 2013. In January 2011, Dick was kicked out of the adult video nude.
Why do people keep dropping lawsuits? And how the fuck do you get kicked out of an adult video? What the fuck?
Sports pornographic movie awards ceremony. This was because, yet again, he was unable to keep his hands to himself. He stalked and groped the porn star Tara Patrick several times, and he similarly victimized drag queen Chi LaRue. An hour before the ceremony at the Palms Casino Resort in Vegas.
I wonder if part of that, him was they're porn stars, so their bodies are
Patrick and Chi LaRue appearing in a dressing room backstage when an apparently intoxicated Dick suddenly appeared. A witness reports couldn't understand what he was saying, but you could hear Chi saying, "Leave me alone." Tara grabbed Chi and went into another dressing room, but boom, there he was again. This happened 3 or 4 times. He had a cup of beer, which kept spilling. Finally, this huge security guy came over, snatched the beer out of his hand and said, "That's it, we're going." A show rep who saw security men restraining Dick against the wall said, "I questioned one of the guards. He said Andy was being disorderly and pushing people." A rep for Dick had no comments. In April 2011, Dick attended a party associated with the Newport Beach Film Festival. A Orange County Register report detailed his behavior at said party. According to multiple eyewitnesses and a festival co-founder, Dick, 45, appeared intoxicated at a Newport Lexus gathering when, just past midnight, he unzipped his pants, exposed himself, then started rubbing against one of the tables. He entered a festival display booth, urinated on the backdrop, then pulled it down, destroying it. The damage was actually significant enough for the festival organizers to consider a lawsuit, but it seems they never followed through. The very next month, in May 2011, he was arrested for being drunk and disorderly in a restaurant. An article about this particular offense provided other details about Andy. However, in Kathy Griffin's book, Official Book Club Selection, a memoir, she talks about how crazy Dick is at shows. He'll get wasted and not show up, or he'll arrive and not perform well. It was...
I guess that's the best case scenario. He just doesn't show up.
Always a train wreck she claimed to enjoy watching, but was worried about. She said sometimes it ended up...
She enjoyed watching it?
Males getting it.
He enjoyed watching it. I think that maybe that's part of the problem, is that people felt partly that some people actually did think it was funny. How would you enjoy watching that? That's what
Into his limo. He said at some universities he would arrive just minutes before he was to hit the stage, and college student coordinators asked Griffin to stretch out her set longer to give him time to arrive.
Dick has a reputation for crude behavior. Last year, a comedy club owner in Columbus, Ohio, said Dick made inappropriate comments while on stage, groped patrons, took women into the men's room, and urinated on the floor and on at least one person. He was also cited in the city for urinating on the sidewalk.
Again, I'm not sure how it's possible. possible that the people who were around him saw what he was doing. She wrote about it, her team of editors and publishers read it, and somehow no one thought that it might be, a little too eccentric to be leaving shows with underage boys in your limousine, instead of his usual antics of groping people and exposing himself.
For crude behavior.
Coordinators asked Griffin to stretch out her... She said sometimes it had been...
Sorry, I missed that. My bad.
Provided other details about Andy, however. In Kathy Griffin's book, Official Book Club Selection, a memoir, she talks about how crazy Dick is on shows. He'll get wasted and not show up, or he'll arrive and not perform well. It was always a train wreck he claimed he was watching, but was worried about. She said sometimes it ended up with him and underage males getting into his limo. He said at some universities, he would arrive just minutes before he was to hit the stage, and college student coordinators...
Like, casually dropped that one in. I missed that. He just casually goes to the fucking... into underage fucking... What the fuck? This guy's like 40 or something at the time. How old is he at the time? I'm like, why would he? That's fucking insane. What the fuck? That's just a casual underage male drop. Okay.
Asked Griffin to stretch out her set longer to give him time to arrive.
Dick has a reputation for crude behavior.
Like the fact that was just so normal. Yeah, hey, we get in the car with underage guys. We just like, alright, it's alright. Why is he doing that? But why are you also enabling that behavior? What the fuck? Like, I would be like, yeah, I'm not working with this dude again. He's fucking around with, like, fucking underage people. This is gross. Why is there such, like, a normalization of, like, predatory behavior in fucking Hollywood? What the fuck? That's crazy.
Last year, a comedy club owner in Columbus, Ohio, said Dick made inappropriate comments while on stage, roped patrons, took women into the men's room, and urinated on the floor and on at least one person. He was also cited in the city for urinating on the sidewalk.
Again, I'm not sure how it's possible that the people who were around him saw what he was doing. She wrote about it, her team of editors and publishers read it, and somehow no one thought that it might be, a little too eccentric to be leaving shows with underage boys in your limousine, instead of his usual antics of groping people and exposing himself. Andy got in trouble for quite a different reason in August 2011. Dick made some anti-Semitic jokes about Howard Stern while on a radio show, claiming that Stern was money-grubbing, and he kept using the term hook-nosed to describe him. Howard was predictably displeased by Andy's tirade.
I went on, 6 fucking months ago. Fucking little hook-nosed Jew. I don't even know if he's Jewish.
I think he is.
Really? He's a hook-nosed fucking Jew.
Yeah, fucking Jew. Yeah, that's what it comes down to, right?
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, hate somebody for who they are. Not where, what religion they were born.
He's pretty much alienated everyone in Hollywood, and now he really has. Because everyone sees...
I mean, you're not even in Hollywood. He's now reaching outside.
Let's get back to the scary talents of Andy Dick.
Use these sound bites, because I ain't giving it...
I'm giving you the sound bites.
Sweet ones anymore. Yeah, hook-nosed Jew. He can handle it.
He gets called that quite a bit.
Yeah, I know. I didn't.
Yeah, I get called that quite a bit, especially behind my back. You're not the first one, Andy. But I'll tell you what, I never forget.
Right.
No,
I've got it.
I don't think it's a hook-nosed Irishman.
I don't care.
Yeah.
He and Beth is such a sweet girl. She fucking so
how does she put up with that hook-nosed Jew? Jesus Christ! How can I get a hold of this motherfucker? Scumbag, fuck rat.
After that, the public record was silent for a few years, but sure enough, not a thing had changed. In October 2017, he was kicked off the cast of the EDP facing and performance condoms. According to the Hollywood Reporter, this consisted of groping people's genitals, unwanted kissing and touching, and sexual propositions of at least 4 members of the production. At first, he made light of the allegations, stating, "My middle name is Miss Condoms. They know what they signed up for." If that troubling statement wasn't bad enough, he went on to deny the groping allegations. But Smitty...
Fuck. No. What does that mean? Go back to streaming how I did before? I don't understand what that means. But okay.
Caveat: I might have kissed somebody on the cheek to say goodbye and then licked them. That's my thing.
What a
It's me being funny.
What a weird fake account to make. Okay.
But that's Andy Dick, isn't it? I mean, of all the people who have been accused of something in Hollywood, when Andy Dick gets on the list, it's like, okay.
Yeah. But you still
Has he ever been accused of being inappropriate?
Truly, nothing is funnier than licking people's faces unrequested. This is probably the only time I've ever heard of such a thing as group sexual assaults. In fact, he might have invented an entirely new kind of offense. The article goes on. "I don't grope people anymore. I don't expose myself anymore," Dick said by telephone. "I do
What a humble person. I don't do these ridiculously horrible, I don't go beyond people's boundaries. I don't grope or molest people anymore. I'm not a virtuous guy, huh?
understands that the temperature in the world right now is delicate. He claims that the temperature on set in Arizona was delicate too, and that he contributed to that by bringing up Weinstein. Can I tell you my side of it? Dick then asked, before asserting that the filmmakers could have been upset that he was talking about, or perhaps defending Weinstein, with whom he made 2 films. They were so incensed by what I was saying. People are so sensitive, Dick added, without elaborating on exactly what he said. I didn't grab anybody's genitals, he continued, but he did not deny that he propositioned others. Of course I'm going to proposition people. I'm single, depressed, lonely, and trying to get a date. They can just say no.
True. Guys, if you're an incel, it's okay to violate someone's boundaries as long as you're horny and sad.
They probably did, and then I was done. Dick contends that part of his problem is he's 51 and unaware of what the rules are for proper behavior. I don't know the difference between sexual harassment and trying to get a date. In the 70s, all the girlfriends I got...
What? Hey, do you want to go on a date with me? Like it's not hard. I mean, I get that people in the past had less than stellar interactions with people, but it's not that big of a change. Yeah, hey, do you want to date me? No. Okay. Not like, can I fuck you? It's very different.
Or by kissing and licking their cheek. I don't know anymore, he said. There were beautiful women and beautiful guys on the set. I flirt with them. I might kiss someone on the cheek and ask them to go to dinner. They are the ones that took it south. Dick ended this most recent chapter by saying that he's learned his lesson. I won't do it anymore, he said. I won't lick anyone's face anymore. We have an agreement. So, he made some comments about...
I don't think licking somebody's face was ever, an acceptable behavior. A little bizarre.
Harvey Weinstein, that sounded like he was defending his actions. Then he blamed the crew members, also known as his victims, for blowing the situation out of proportion when all he did was try to get a date. Though more and more as time passes, it seems that Andy Dick's idea of a date is actually a court appointment. But I guess it's fine because, according to him, it worked in the 70s. You know, the 70s, the good old times, when you could stick your hand in a stranger's crotch in the subway, lick his face, and a week later you'd be walking down the aisle and driving off to your honeymoon with beer cans clanking out the back of your car. I think instead of the 70s, that's his fever dream fantasies. After all these similar controversies he had gotten into, and outright criminal charges that were brought against him, this is the event that made him realize that what he was doing was wrong. Theoretically anyway, since that same month, it came out he had been escorted off the set of another film, Vampire Dad, for multiple flagrant acts of improper conduct and inappropriate conduct with several crew members. In an interview with the producer, we received the following bit of information. Dick has a history of arrests and a roller coaster record when it comes to acting inappropriately in personal and professional situations. So why hire him in the first place? We were under the assumption that...
I mean, true. Why hire this guy in the first place? It's a massive risk. You kind of see that. It seems kind of stupid to fucking hire this guy.
He was sober. He was a good fit for the character, Oliver. I believe in second chances, and through our entire pre-vetting process and interviews, he was cogent and polite. He seemed okay, and there were no indications that he was not sober. I wonder how the actors felt about the casting crew deliberately putting them at risk by hiring, technically, a serial sex offender. As a matter of fact, I wonder if they were even informed of the nature of Dick's past issues with the law. It's the least that you would expect as far as decency when it comes to hiring an insane guy like him, right? It's not like you wake up one day groping people out of the blue.
My God, there's nothing that can stop us.
Hey, party people, I'm ready to get 86!
He hasn't been an A-lister for how long now anyway? Is it even worth risking a lawsuit just to have this low-tier celebrity name associated with your project? How does he even still get roles? Who's this guy's manager that can somehow talk people into hiring him despite all of the baggage that he brings along?
Andy Dick!
I guess he's an excellent manager to be able to, Jesus, working fucking overtime, bro.
No! Come on, let's get out of here!
Mind you, this was at the same time as the allegations against Harvey Weinstein were made, and the hashtag MeToo movement first started taking off. As such, TMZ managed to get an interview with Andy to ask him about his misconduct in relation to these movies, but he was clearly heavily intoxicated.
There is a lot of people coming out. Brett Ratner, Dustin Hoffman, Kevin Spacey, Harvey Weinstein.
Yet again, he defended sexual predators in the industry. If actions like rape and abusing minors qualify as just trying to get a date, it makes you wonder if there's anything that wouldn't fall under that umbrella. I guess guys like Weinstein and Cosby were just hopeless romantics, with unorthodox pickup artist methodology, at least in the eyes of Andy Dick. It seems Andy wasn't able to keep his destructive actions out of his family life either. In March 2018, his own ex-wife, with whom he had 2 children, obtained a restraining order against him, requiring him to stay at least 100 yards away from Lena and the children until March 13th, 2023. On February 20th, Lena filed documents in Los Angeles requesting court protection for the actor. She claimed that drunken arguments with their son led her to take action. In one instance, she claimed that their son locked Andy out of the home once during a fight. She said Andy was drunk at the time and broke windows to gain access to the home. She detailed another instance in which she claimed he was drunk during an argument with her son. That time, she says, he flipped over a table and broke dishes inside the home. In April 2018, he allegedly broke...
Well, let's just add abusive behavior to... Well, I guess he was already engaging in sexually abusive behavior. I'm fucking surprised that he essentially is physically abusive as well.
raped a woman and was charged in June with misdemeanor sexual battery. According to TMZ, the woman filed a police report claiming the troubled PD teased her butt twice as he walked past her on a sidewalk. She also said
Did they really write the term troubled comedian? I just feel like that provides a little bit of empathy for some fucking absolute serial scumbag.
Comments. Before this incident, he finally did some jail time in 2019. 14 days in LA County Jail. Or, at least he was supposed to serve those 2 weeks, but he actually got out after only 1 day due to overcrowding in the jail. One would think that having so many repeat offenses would catch up to him in the form of heavier sentencing. Or that sooner or later, one of these would count as a violation of his probation. After all, being physically restrained seems to be the only recourse at this point to stop him.
Kia Sportage X-Pro. Kia, movement that inspires.
Harming any more people, but alas, he continues to get celebrity special treatments. That same month in 2018, when he groped a woman on the street, he had also, reportedly, groped an Uber driver's genitals. He would plead not guilty in 2019, for the trial to proceed way down the line in 2022, when she showed up to a hearing for without a care in the world. In August 2019, Andy chose the wrong romantic road after performing at a nightclub in New Orleans, and that decision ended up with him being knocked out. The LA Times reported the following. David Hale, 46, who was jailed Wednesday after allegedly sucker punching the news radio veteran early Saturday morning, alleged Dick grabbed his genitals.
Why did he get arrested for that?
Retaliation. Hale said he watched the comedian's show, The Original Night Spot, the Nine Jacks on that night, and was saying goodbye.
Oh my god.
Hale reportedly became incensed.
I mean, if you grope somebody, that's physical, that's assault, right? You should have every right to defend yourself by hitting the back. The fact that guy got arrested is fucking ridiculous to me. Hopefully
and Dick decided to wink at him, which led Hale to punch him in the face. He collided with another object before landing, which left him unconscious for 15 minutes. He was afterwards rushed to the hospital to check for possible brain bleed. Surveillance footage also captured the attack.
I saw the whole thing, the punch to Andy dropped.
Jesus Christ! You fucking that good.
Also captured the attack.
I saw the whole thing, the punch to Andy dropped like.
Holy fuck!
Surveillance footage also captured the attack.
I saw the whole thing, the punch to Andy.
Jesus!
It was extremely scary and smacked the back of his head so hard on it.
Oh my god!
And there on that sidewalk. As he scary and smacked the back of his head so hard on the
Go fuck him! Jesus fuck! That guy put him down though. Holy fuck! Well, he put him down like the fucking dog he is. Oh well. That was fucking harsh. I didn't think it was gonna be that hard. But good, the motherfucker deserves it, so.
And there on that sidewalk.
As the attacker calmly picks up his beer and walks away, there were no smoke. He remained unconscious on the ground.
Oh no.
I was looking at it, his eyes were going all over the place. He was kind of like swallowed his tongue. He was like not talking to me.
Former friends say he was diagnosed with a concussion and bleeding on the brain. Spending 2 nights in the hospital before flying back to Los Angeles.
Yeah, wasn't bad enough then, I guess. Although it's good that he didn't like end up like anything seriously bad happened to him, because then that guy probably would have got charged. And that guy doesn't deserve to get charged. So.
Still kind of touch and go. His head is still killing him. He's got blurry vision. He's not the same.
It's early enough. Andy was involved in another.
Hey, maybe I was about to say maybe that stops the bad behavior. Maybe that was almost like the lobotomy he needed.
Like just a few months later, in October 2019, this time with an Uber Eats delivery person. I have to hand it to him. Not many people lay claim to the achievement. Body slammed by a delivery driver. From the clip, it seems like he was trying to take someone else's food from the delivery person and proceeded to spit on him during the disagreement. Next on his record was yet another violent altercation, but this time he was the one assaulting someone else. On June 29, 2021, Andy was arrested for felony assault with a deadly weapon. Elisa Jordana, his fiance, talks about the events leading up to it on her YouTube show, saying that Andy attacked a man named Lucas with a metal chair, who he was apparently romantically involved with.
And he was in rare form that night. It was really bad. He stole cutlery, he stole some wine glasses, he stole plates. He asked for a doggy bag that he could put all the, all that in. And then I said, Andy, please come over my plate. Please sleep over my plate. I'm begging you. And he refused, and he ran off with 3 guys. So I just knew that night wasn't going to end well. You know, he did get into a fight with Lucas. There was a chair involved, a metal chair, and then Lucas was at Cedar Sinai, and I saw pictures, I saw videos. It's not good, and it just was going in a very bad direction. I couldn't get in, but he was at Cedar Sinai, and it was bad. It wasn't good. He could have killed him.
I guess it's the hospital. Oh well.
Could have killed him. I mean, with a metal chair, and his.
Maybe I'm being a little insensitive, but like, this guy's a fucking like a menace to society. Like, oh well, if something bad happened, I don't really care.
Who knows what? Yeah. He just wasn't in control of his faculties. I mean, that's probably what happened.
Yeah, he gets very aggressive. He gets very, very, very aggressive.
According to Andy's rep, Lucas came to Andy's apartment that day already in a bad mood. They were play fighting and razzing each other, and Andy says next thing he knew, things turned serious for Lucas. Andy claimed that my femur got broken and my ankle got...
He's play fighting. Part of me I just don't believe that they were play fighting if it got this serious. You know, because I'm just based on like Andy talking something like way violating, but...
A shatter, and the tendons and ligaments on the other side are ripped off the bone. I was limping and it hurt, and then we got into another fight, and I threw my chair. He was just a little cut. I am in a cast. We wrestled and it got ugly. He's just too strong. He is stronger than me. He was released from jail the day afterwards, after an associate posted his $50,000 bail, adding to an amount already well into the hundreds of thousands of dollars paid to get himself out of jail over the years. But with this event, a new streak of behavior for Andy emerged again. At first, it was...
Yeah, I wonder if they offered money, like behind the scenes, to get him to drop, to get other people to drop charges. I wouldn't fucking doubt it.
Then he moved on to sexual abuse, and now he was becoming outright violent. He assaulted Lucas with a frying pan in October 2021. On YouTube, a video would end up surfacing of the aftermath of Andy and Lucas's fight, relatively soon afterwards, considering Lucas's physical injuries.
What are you doing, fucking hit you? Cast Clarence, kill him. What do you do to deserve that? My friend. Me and my friend.
It's interesting that well, you kill somebody's friend, basically, and their wife, really, in some capacity. So don't like. I guess what do you deserve then? If he deserves to get fucking hit.
Yeah, fucking my friend's wife.
What have you got going on? You burned down 2 houses. You've been evicted from every fucking plot of land I've ever fucking tried to put your sorry ass on. You're going to the ranch, kid. You fucking got $30,000 bail. $30,000. You burned down my house. You killed my actual dog.
Yeah, do you remember this part where I did kill? You know what, by the way? I killed. You know what? He's like, no, man.
What the fuck? Shut the fuck up. Among all the drama here, which Andy is incapable of taking seriously due to obviously being under the influence of something, the claims that he burned down 2 houses and killed Lucas's dog, the latter of which Andy doesn't even object to, stand out. Clearly, Andy's life had more turbulence than ever could be published in its entirety by any news source. News reports indicated he was arrested for another assault, this time with a liquor bottle, though it's unclear if this involved Lucas or someone else. Regardless, he yet again posted bond. Even after 2 other incidents in the preceding months, apparently no one thought it prudent to keep him from venturing into the world quite yet. Though he's already in his 50s, with his Hollywood heyday now far, far behind him, around this time, Andy managed to make somewhat of a career pivot, if you can call it that, involving an online presence. It wasn't his first rodeo, considering he had set up a quite successful Cameo account in the past, with over 1,000 positive reviews at a price of $100, which just goes to show the influence of the acting and comedy work he had done in the past.
Hi, Matt. It's Andy Dick. And it's Halloween, by the way. And I just found out, trick or treat. Looks like you're getting a treat. Baby, a little baby.
With his new endeavor, no longer would he indirectly be keeping the world up to date on his degeneracy through articles published on trashy gossip sites. Instead, he would allow people to get their daily dose of drama straight from the source by broadcasting his activities live. He did this by joining the IP2 streaming community.
This is called Found Art. Whoa, let's check it out. Chat, what do you think of Andy's art?
How crazy is this, huh? This motherfucker like commits like really shit. He does like really shitty shit. Engages in really shitty behavior, and then he's welcomed with open arms inside of like these weird fucking like communities. Probably because he's a celebrity. This will give me some clout. Imagine you have Andy Dick in my RV. That's pretty fucking cool, guys. Oh, wow.
Whatever this is supposed to be. Art. People as to what this is supposed to be. What? It's called Found
Art.
I'm having sex with girls.
If you're unaware, IB2 is a network of IRL streamers based off of Ice Poseidon, who popularized the genre. In essence, these streamers broadcast their activities venturing out into the world, and while not all of them are edgy and degenerate, the most notorious subset are, and are what IB2 has become known for. Getting drunk, causing trouble, and broadcasting your life in abject conditions are what it's all about. Streamers will play pranks, curse a line of the law, or just turn on text-to-speech donations in public so their viewers can spam racial slurs out loud in a McDonald's. It's a place where people will do anything for donations. With that kind of track record, maybe it's no surprise that someone like Andy Dick got in on the action.
Couple minutes, this is him hanging out with the IB2 people. IB2 is doing, like, the main streamers for IB2 are, like, in this camper band where, like, all the women are psychotic and addicted to drugs and alcohol and are just, like, molesting each other. So here's Andy Dick talking about doing coke before being arrested.
A chaotic, criminal, and all-around controversial junkie with little, if any, moral reservations would fit right in. Although, Andy's tumultuous live streaming journey would only begin shortly after another harrowing event in his life, and perhaps because of it. On April 3rd, 2022, Andy was supposedly mugged in Las Vegas. He appeared on Elisa's YouTube channel to with her trying to elucidate his day's states, along with his reluctance to go to the hospital.
Jesus Christ. Why would you go to the hospital? Jesus fuck, this guy can shit me out. I know it's a little mean for me to be laughing, but fuck you, dude. Holy shit. Fuck this guy.
Horrible.
Oh, that's so sad. That's so sad.
When your business booms, Nexus looms. Your Nexus footprint changes along with your business. Stay.
Andy, who did this to you?
Who cares? He's a fucking hero.
Stranger. Girl, stranger.
A stranger beat you up for no reason, Andy?
Yes.
Not
What did you do? I don't know what you
I
did.
didn't do anything.
Oh,
They
yeah,
don't care. He was doing it. Stole my shit, my phone, and my wallet.
From his story, he was apparently mugged by a random person and was possibly knocked out, which wouldn't be surprising considering his gruesome injuries. To close off the interaction, Elisa says she's going to call Wappy, aka Wappy Flanker, to pick Andy up. Wappy apparently took Andy in at this vulnerable moment where he had nowhere to go, and that's where the streaming began. Wappy started streaming with Andy, residing at his house just a few days later, hoping to drum up some donations from viewers having pity on Andy's situation. However, people quickly started accusing Wappy of simply taking advantage of Andy and pocketing the donations for himself.
Who cares? Like, who gives a shit? But okay.
That's Andy's money? No, it's dude. I'm feeding. Who's Randy? Oh, my God, Chris. I'm feeding Andy, doing everything, cooking for him, chef, his producer. You are wrong. Yeah, guess what? Look, dude, and we appreciate it. Andy's money is getting used for him.
If you don't want to see this continue, just stop sending money. Twice your cash app because I am supporting and housing Andy. I am feeding it. I'm doing all this. I'm taking money, this money to. He smokes my weed. Do you think weed is cheap? No, and I don't care. I love to smoke weed. But
What do you mean I see the eyes?
do you not understand that? Look, I'm pretty transparent, dude. Everything's been on camera.
It only took a few days for their relationship to become more openly antagonistic as they got into arguments and Wappy belittled and even threatened Andy.
Know about war.
Yo, stop! Andy, no! I'm gonna call the house if you do that.
Battles may be
Whoa, you really stepped out of line with that.
won by those who
Turn that face. You fucking do that again, you know, punch in your fucking mouth, dude.
Oh, shit, dude.
Whoever fucking come by slam you, I swear to God, I will body slam your ass to fucking hell. I will take your soul. I'm gonna fuck you up, dude, if you do that again. Fair fucking warning.
It just seems like a bunch of degenerate fucking scumbag losers hanging out, huh? Crazy stuff, huh?
You're gonna be removed, physically removed from this residence if you do that again! Do you understand me? Yes, officer.
It escalated further as Wappy started breaking things around the house.
Wow, incredible.
Alright, I'm done.
Two other IB2 streamers, Captain Content and Gucci's, showed up on April 13th to check in on Andy. Another streamer, Attila, came over to take Andy out to do some IRL streaming with him. Things reached a fever pitch when Wappy threatened Attila with a gun.
No. Get out of here. Get out of my fucking house right now, motherfucker. Get the fuck out of here. That's it.
What the fuck?
Kidnapper, extorted motherfucker, go.
What the fuck is happening, bro?
Get out. Don't come back. Got it.
We see from the top of the screen that Wappy also...
What the fuck? What the fuck is happening? Why the fuck is he threatening this dude with a gun? Maybe the guy deserved it? I don't know. What the fuck? What the fuck? Speechless.
Garnered over $2,000 in donations by this point.
I'm gonna be honest.
You're bad at it. You're bad at it.
You really are, dude.
Got it.
Do you got it?
Do you got it?
When you got on TV, you were supposed to millions of people.
No, that's not true.
Yeah?
No.
Not everybody liked you when you came on TV. You had some critics. And you just had
No,
formed
that's not
over time your own little fan base.
Cut over time immediately.
A Reddit post asking about the situation actually gave us some fairly cogent details about what exactly was going on. Why were things getting so out of hand, and why was Andy putting up with this? The OP asked, what's going on with Andy Dick being forced to stay in a streamer's house? A user named Dr. Feelgood33 gave an insightful summary of events, receiving 1,300 upvotes. Andy was kicked out of his Los Angeles apartment roughly 2 to 3 months ago due to ongoing disorderly conduct and drug abuse problems. This is not the first time that this has happened in LA, but where he lived this time would be quite a difficult place to force an eviction, given that it's Skid Row adjacent and the apartment was connected to the Cecil Hotel. Just to give some perspective and context to occupants in the neighborhood.
All right, so what happened? You had a history of what, doing coke?
No.
What was going on in your life?
You know what happens with me?
Yeah.
I would, first of all, I would have long periods where I would stay sober. I'm talking about up to a year.
Way to go.
That's a long period.
That's good.
A long period of time. Yeah.
For an alcoholic, yeah.
For an artist who think, grew up in the whole Second City thing where you had a shot right before you went on stage.
Oh, I see.
It was kind of cool to smoke.
Isn't it hard to be high, though, when you're on stage?
No, I can be on stage at any stage.
His alcohol and drug abuse has definitely accelerated in these 2 years, but it's unclear if it would be judged as much worse as at other points in his life or on par. The other challenge is that he's effectively out of money. He has sporadic sources of income from residuals and gigs, like when he did a stand-up show in Venice a few weeks ago, but because he's basically unhireable, he's relying on alternative income streams and appears to have gotten more desperate on how to exploit these options. Cameo is the more traditional one, which he has admitted isn't doing much. He attempted a GoFundMe.
Yeah, I mean, who the fuck is gonna hire this guy on Cameo? Well, like what, man? Oh, man, I really want to get that.
Yeah.
How much is Andy Dick's Cameo? I wonder.
No, I'm fine. Thank you, though.
I wonder. I feel like they got rid of him off of Cameo, or did they not? $111. Wow. Seems a little pricey for you.
FundMe, but the other, which he has fallen deeper into, is the subculture of IRL streamers.
Maybe he should start dancing on TikTok. They love pedophiles there.
Imagine everyone who wants to be famous in Hollywood, but due to no talent, direction, or even a moral compass, they result to really low-grade YouTube/Twitch content that more or less feeds off fake internet drama and risky situational content to drive engagement, anger, and news. It also attracts a cesspool of sorts of people and personalities. The type that walk out on dinner bills, throw up an Uber, then blame the driver, report homeless people, and, take advantage of people in any way possible, because the world revolves around them, hence why they stream.
Because here you are, this is the most interesting thing I've read on all the things they do. Because a lot of it's uninteresting because I know about it here. But the fact that you pulled your cock out in a club in West Texas, because I've been to West Texas, very few people pull their cocks out and rub it on a fella.
Andy was going to Las Vegas.
Jesus Christ. Fucking Norm is something else, brother. Oh my God.
For a drug-fueled vendor, and knew Wappy lived out in Las Vegas. During his trip, he was assaulted and beaten up by a random man off the strip, and was abandoned by the people who he drove from LA with. I use quotations because the speculation is now that Wappy or Elisa could have pre-planned the situation as a means to create content drama, or it actually happened. Anyway, Elisa and Wappy found another way to exploit Andy for money and more content, now with Andy's antics in Las Vegas.
Oh, right. Damn, they might be potentially beating him up for content. That's... Jesus Christ, that's something. God, or getting him beat up. That's fucking nuts.
Oh my God, that's the worst thing I ever saw. This is so fucked up, Andy. This is bad. This is very bad.
I can't believe, the one thing I can't believe more than anything else is that Andy Dick was almost going to marry Yoshida Kuni. It's crazy.
And not be with people like this anymore, Andy.
I know. With Andy being homeless, no family or friend support structure, and no income on his own, he's at a point of desperation, and going along with a ride because he seeks out enablers and people he can abuse and exploit, and for those who abuse and exploit him. The gun brandishing, the aggressive anger and abuse that Wappy is doing is all fake, as a means to drive engagement and stream drama. I'm not saying the guy isn't a lunatic, but as mentioned before, these people are all delusional Hollywood wannabes, Andy included, but hell, at least the guy has had a pretty damn successful career in Hollywood. They aren't interested in traditional jobs because they're too self-entitled and lazy anyway, and
so out of touch with reality that they think Hollywood is interested in hiring a 40-year-old woman who peaked in high school. Andy could walk out of that house today, and there would be no risk to his personal safety. He chooses not to because he has no other alternatives and would rather live in a trap house with terrible people if it means someone delivers him a daily bottle of vodka and the occasional rare steak or beef tartar. Sadly, the bottle of vodka continues to be more important to him than his 3 kids, who surprisingly seem like some genuinely nice...
His 3 kids? Holy fuck. What?
Normal individuals.
Well, then you know what? Maybe he shouldn't be around his kids because they probably have a bad influence on him.
Oh my god, another fey, pansexual, alcoholic, non-human. I've been replaced!
I hope Andy gets help and survives his substance abuse, but it is becoming less and less likely. The Andy Dick Show...
Is that actually Andy Dick voice acting for Seth MacFarlane's shows? I wonder if he was just so desperate for gigs they were able to get him to do that.
Oh, Road Trip, Old School, News Radio, In the Army Now, Dude, Where's My Car, Employee of the Month, etc. are all such classics, and his humor and style is unrivaled in so many ways. Source, Andy's old neighbor. I say we miss you in the Pacific Gas Lofts, Andy, but really, we don't. A lot of this post is this user's own conjecture, but most of the info does line up with what we've already seen. This same poster later followed up with more miscellaneous details, since people were clearly interested in Andy's strange lifestyle. Aside from the general revolving door of derelicts finding their way to a place to use and abuse a place was on another level of whack. A guy who only wore a doctor's trench coat and a police ankle bracelet acted as his four-man bouncer for a while. He was his errand man who had to get vodka from the local store. No clue how it worked with the ankle bracelet, but he was a huge weirdo. Young 20-year-olds were taking bikes and running them into the walls. His entire bathroom door was busted open, and glass sat in the bathroom from the shower door for weeks. 3 guys accidentally bought fentanyl, and Andy overdosed and paramedics were called. Luckily,
Jesus Christ. This guy keeps surviving, though. No jokes aside.
One of the guys had Narcan and saved him. Otherwise, he would have died before ER made it. One guy was fat, gave him mouth-to-mouth. The first thing he said after being revived was,
one guy was fat and gave mouth-to-mouth.
You guys couldn't have at least got one of the hotter ones to try to bring me back to life?
Where are you at? Should have let that motherfucker die at that point. In terms of sobriety. Still motherfucking here. I'm hither and thither.
Again, there's no way.
How does 1 carat diamond stud sound for $9.85? Or carat and a halves at $19.85? And 2 carat diamond stud earrings at $39.85?
Way to verify these claims in particular, but they are on brand for Andy at the very least. The small fan base Andy had garnered by appearing on streams was trying to look out for him, and were concerned about Wappy seemingly abusing him or possibly holding him hostage. So the night after the incident with Attila, the house was swatted. Cops showed up, but Andy didn't make any sort of cry for help to them to indicate that he felt he'd been victimized, and he did.
I mean, even if he was victimized, not that I actually care, but even if he was, if that's the only place that he really has to stay, he's not going to say anything to the police because he's got nowhere else to go.
Didn't take the opportunity to leave either. Then, Captain Content, who had visited before, came to rescue Andy from Wappy. He first calls him to confirm the situation, that he's being held there against his will.
Wappy said that he was going to hurt me if I go there to pick you up. Now I have your word, and I've heard Wappy tell you that you're not going nowhere, and I have your word saying that you think you're being held hostage. I'm going to call the police, and I'm going to inform that you yourself have said you're being kept hostage right now, and we're going to get you out of there safely.
He calls the cops, and they show up to the house again. This time, Andy does actually leave.
Will you speak up here? Are you talking to the sound like what's on your force? Speak to the truth. Is that you're tearing up the
It keeps saying they have trucks full of police officers. Wow, Jesus Christ.
He's trying to lure Andy digging with illegal drugs, arrest and deport him. Arrest him again. Right, see you later. I'll tell your fiancé what's up. I'll let me know. He's free. He's free.
Now, after an eventful 2 weeks, Andy was now a part of another degenerate IRL stream, Captain Content's RV. With such a track record, it's a surprise that any audience of people is concerned about his well-being. When it comes to the other streamers, they obviously just wanted to take advantage of Andy's name for content and donations. But Andy, being in his 50s, knows full well what he's doing and allows himself to be exploited for views. Things basically went how you'd expect them to go, with Andy being constantly intoxicated, causing drama, and starting arguments. All of the bells and whistles of IP2 streaming. And seeing as he hadn't been arrested for some kind of sexual misconduct yet in 2022, of course, that had to happen as well. It all started when Andy Dick started getting touchy with one of the guys on the RV named JJ, which JJ was clearly uncomfortable with. Andy was also insisting he was gay, which JJ flatly denied.
Yeah, this is the situation that I knew of. And this shit was fucked. This shit was just fucked, man. I don't know what else to say. It's fucked up.
About that. That's a good one. Do you?
Well, I read it. It's not really bad. I do want to. We need to.
Yeah.
don't know. I mean, maybe. Might not be the right word usage of it, but he's definitely trying to fucking predatorize this guy. I think what ended up happening here is this dude like ended up getting, I think, roofied by Andy Dick, and then Andy Dick raped him. He woke up and he's like, oh man, like my butt hurts and stuff like that. It was really fucked. It was really fucked.
I don't give a shit about that. I don't give a shit. My boy. Okay, my boy. I did not. Ew. Shut the fuck up. You weirdo. Fuck you.
When JJ woke up the next morning, this conversation took place on stream.
And then, like, the guy, Captain Content, was trying to downplay it originally, and was like, oh, I don't think anything happened, like, you're good, blah, 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 blah. It was, like, a real fucking shit show. Seemed like he was getting mad that the guy wanted to go to the police. It was fucked up.
Just like in bed right now, I smell like your parts of my body.
In which bed?
In the back.
In my room, right?
I was in the other RV, and then
in his bed?
Yeah.
Why?
I have no idea. Like, not even.
I think that there was a point where like it seemed like he was like becoming unconscious at some point. In that conversation that happened previously where the girl was there, and like I think she even might have identified it, but like I don't know why they didn't do anything about it before. I don't know.
In a weird way, or like
why did you get in bed with this guy?
I think I'm getting the hang of this.
We were the last thing I remember, we were like on the phone with this fiance or something.
Yeah.
And then
I still can't read these.
I wake up, I come here, and then I check myself, and I'm like,
The witch's magic is still coming.
like I like smell parts of myself, and they smell like artificial smells.
Oh no.
Oh, he must be talking about like lube. Yeah, that's fucked.
I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm freaking out with you.
Oh no. You were drunk. You passed out with this guy in his bed.
But even the way that he's talking about it, you were drunk and you passed out with this guy in your bed. It's just fucked, man. It's just fucked. Like, why talk about it like that? It seems like you're trying to make it seem like it's his fault. But I'm pretty sure that it was more than just like he got too drunk.
And he touched you while we were sleeping.
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah. It doesn't matter how drunk you are. If you're fucking passed out, you can't consent to anything. So like, it's just fucking insane. That's even the perspective. It's like, oh, you got drunk and then you passed out and then he touched you. It's like not like the way that it's being said. It just comes off as like this guy. It's like almost this guy's fucking fault for it happening.
And if you find that
that's you. Your penis. Right. Exactly.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
I think
at one point they were like, let me smell your butt, let me smell your butt. It was like really weird, bro. It was fucking bizarre.
Somehow, while drunk, he had ended up sleeping in Andy's bed in another RV and found a lotion or another similar substance on himself. They were unsure what exactly had transpired while JJ was unconscious, but he clarified that he had lotion specifically on his backside. JJ went to confront Andy, but Andy was more preoccupied with taking a phone call and was apparently not very alarmed by the police showing up. The police arrived and Andy was arrested for felony sexual battery live on stream. However, he was not charged, as JJ refused to cooperate with the authorities, so the investigation had to be dropped, though it could be resumed at
I don't know, but the way that they made it seem like is, I wouldn't doubt that the guy JJ just was like effectively to some degree coerced into not doing anything by Captain fucking Underpants here. Because they were, like, if you watch the full thing, which I did, like, there was a lot of, like, hinting that, like, oh, nothing really happened, and, like, are you sure, like, you really want to go to the thing, blah, 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 blah. It was a lot of just trying to persuade the guy that, like, nothing really happened. What happens if I trigger this?
Any time if that were to change. If the allegations were true and the situation wasn't all staged for drama, then Andy had gotten away with it.
I guess that is possible.
Andy Dick continues to regularly.
I mean, I guess that is possible. That could have been staged for drama potentially, but I feel like that's. I wouldn't make that like original assumption, but I guess based on maybe some of these RV people, that it was like something they tried to do for that. They would never admit it though, but I would consider that was a. You know, that would be fucked if they did.
Really participate in various IP2 live streams, though he was arrested again on October 13th, 2022 for stealing power tools from someone's home. The backstory is that he went off with another streamer named Malachi, and they broke into a house that was under construction. If all of these controversies and crimes are just what's been televised and published, what has Andy possibly done or been involved with that we never saw or heard about? What kind of behavior has occurred off air or with people who didn't want to share? Is this all just the tip of the iceberg? We may never know, but given his long list of controversies, it's unlikely that this is the last we'll hear of Andy Dick. And once again, thanks so much to Scentbird for sponsoring this video. A fragrance subscription service with a mission to empower each and every person to express themselves.
Hey, you don't need a fragrance, dude. Women like the natural man musk. It smells real good to them. It smells like real good to them. And anything like anywhere. Exactly, bro. That's a good point. I have a quick question. I'm gonna do a quick poll. I threw out a poll right now that's asking if you're subscribed to Papa Got Leftovers. I just want to gauge it because I'm considering the potential of streaming over there as that channel grows. So if you guys could answer that poll, that'd be dope. Honestly, it's pretty pogger. Just wondering what it is. I don't know.
Use my coupon code.
But yeah, go ahead and use Turkey Times coupon code. I'm gonna toss the link in the bio, at least for his video. Yeah, good video. Good video. We'll get to another one after this dungeon's over. It's like 5 minutes, probably. Andy's friends robbed everything in the RV. I don't give a shit about that. Fuck Andy Dick. He's an asshole. 90%. Oh wow, there's some people who aren't subbed, huh?
Walk.
Interesting. Yeah, Turkey Thomas. Won't let you vote, but you're sub to Papa Got Leftovers. Alright, awesome. Pretty pogger. Oh, I'm not going to. Yeah, like I said, I'm just trying to figure it out. I've been debating on